Bunny.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Life is good. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Happy Wednesday, the midweek. It is Wednesday, right? It's Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Is it Wednesday?
It is Wednesday.
Wednesday. It is Wednesday. It is December 11th. It's the most wonderful time of the year. So I've been sung to many times over the past couple of days.
If you're a duck or a goose or something.
How's your loose back end, Lonzo?
You know, sometimes the back end gets a little loose in this kind of weather. You just gotta throttle down a little.
Lonzo walked in this morning. He said, "My back end's loose." And I said, "That sounds like something you should have taken care of at the house before you came to work." And then he said, "No, my car." And I went, "Oh, that's different. That means a different thing."
Yeah, if your back end's loose on your body, you probably need Depends.
Gotta hate when you get a loose back end. They make stuff for that, you know? They make stuff for that. Hey, we got a lot to get to today on the radio program, ladies and gentlemen. Busy day. 4 hours of NBA Cup coverage starts now. All right, not really. We are going to mention, though, because we have two teams that have now made the NBA in-season Cup semifinals. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Milwaukee Bucks are in at this point. Those are the first two teams that have clinched their spot out in Las Vegas, Nevada, after wins last night. We'll talk about that later on in the show. I feel like that might even be a water cooler cheat sheet item, because I know that many, if not most of you, many of you are as big a fan of the NBA Cup as the great one himself is. He has been ranting. Texted me last night, like 12:30 in the morning. He's like, "Rob Brown, make sure you have plenty of NBA Cup coverage on the rundown for tomorrow." I said, "Absolutely, Lonzo, but only because you said so."
Is there anybody out there that gullible to believe any of what you just said?
There's very clearly people out there that gullible. We'll probably mention it in passing if we're keeping it a buck. 118-104 last night. The Thunder knock off the Mavericks to earn their spot. We will keep an eye on all of that as we get rolling. So busy day talking some NBA basketball. We got to get college basketball in here. The University of South Carolina has hired a new offensive coordinator, Mike Shula. Yes, that one. The former head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. You will remember that Mike Shula was the last coach of the Crimson Tide before Nicholas Saban took over the job. He was the last guy in charge before Nick Saban was hired to fill that role. Since then, by the way, when he got fired, Lonzo, he only made $4 million worth of buyout.
Wow, how do you survive on that?
I don't know. What I do know, however, is that Mike Shula's been in the NBA as an offensive coordinator and a quarterbacks coach ever since then, until he joined last year the South Carolina Gamecock staff. And when he was there, he has been credited in part with the development and rise of one Lenoria Sellers since Sellers turned into a dude.
I got to do this because you glanced up and saw NBA, you said Mike Shula has been in the NBA.
In the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, because
he was in the NBA as a quarterback coach.
Here's the thing.
Wasn't good at it.
Here's the thing. He could have been in the NBA, could have been in the MLB, could have been in the MLS. For all I knew, I was shocked that he was still a coaching.
Really? Because
Yes.
in 2015, Cameron Newton won the NFL MVP, and his quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator was Mike Shula.
Here's the thing. Those guys usually don't get press, so people don't really know that they're that guy, especially when you take what might be considered a major step back from being a head coach of a huge program, and then suddenly you're kind of a guy that goes here and there and does the minor jobs.
Well, I don't know that I'd say he's been a minor. He's been in a role as a minor coach. He He was the Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback coach for a while. He got picked up by the Panthers as the QB coach. Helped Cam Newton win the AP Offensive Rookie of the Year award in 2011. Was eventually promoted to offensive coordinator in 2013 when Rob Chudzinski was hired by the Browns to become their head coach. Shula was named Offensive Coordinator of the Year that year. Then he went on to help Cam Newton win the NFL MVP in 2016. You will also recall that's the year that the Carolina Panthers went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Denver Broncos. He spent 2 more years in that role, was replaced and released by the Panthers in 2018, was hired less than a month later to go be the quarterbacks and offensive coordinator for the Giants. He spent 2 years in that role, went out to Denver and worked as the quarterback's coach in Denver. In 2022, hired by the Buffalo Bills as senior offensive assistant. In 2024, he was not retained. And 14 days after he was let loose by the Bills, he was hired to the Gamecock staff as offensive analyst. He has been now elevated all the way up to offensive coordinator for the South Carolina Gamecocks. That, of course, comes just a handful of days after Jeremiah Donati gets hired on as the new athletic director at South Carolina. So a lot of turnover there. A lot of turnover for the Gamecocks in Columbia. Tomorrow on the show, we'll talk to the lovely Lulu Kesson, who covers his team and his athletic department for the Greenville News. We will get her thoughts on the new AD, on the new OC, and on Shaney B. That's all. Shane Beamer. You get it. You get what I was saying there. It's one of those nickname things, but
yeah, but I'm guessing he probably wouldn't be down.
No, I'm not going to call him that to
one.
his face. Yeah. I just needed it. I needed it to rhyme in that moment. And I got to tell you, I kind of feel like I nailed it. Kind of feel like I nailed that one, to be honest with you. So anyway, talk a lot of Gamecock football later on in the show. We'll talk some Clemson Tigers football on the show later as they get set to take on the Texas Longhorns coming up in, what are we sitting on, 9 days now until we get the college football playoffs underway. Speaking of the college football playoffs, Lonzo sent me a very interesting direct message yesterday. As college football playoff executive director Rich Clark is, and I quote on 3 Sports, Brett McMurphy, is, quote, not ruling out use of AI for selection process in the future. And this may shock you, Lonzo, but I'm fully on board with that. I'm fully on board with that. Not as the only factor.
So you'd be willing to go back to the BCS?
It's not the BCS.
Not the BCS. Isn't it kind of? It's an evolved. It's evolved form of the BCS. It's still a computer, dude.
That's a better argument.
It's still a computer.
It is very much a computer, but AI has capabilities that the BCS does not. The BCS worked exclusively on formulas, numbers in, numbers out. That's all. The AI has advanced computational abilities that would allow it to see and consider things. And I also want to point out, as I was there, and we're gonna come to this.
It doesn't consider. That's a human.
We're going to come to this a little later in the show. I am not, and I say that with a dramatically and an unnecessary accent there.
Yeah,
not.
I'm going to go with Wisconsin still creeping in. It's been a theme all week.
Now, sometimes I just got to really dig down to make a point. I am not saying that AI should be solely and exclusively in charge, but I do think it could be a useful tool. And I'm going to tell you why coming up later on in the radio broadcast. So stick around for that. We're going to talk a little AI in the college football landscape. We got to get to a little National Hockey League and a little local hockey because coming up this AM at 8:40. Live and in living color from the butthole of America, Jacksonville, Florida, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, Mark Bonetti, is going to join us on the radio program. Bonetti is down there getting set up for a little evening ice time as the Swamp Rabbits are on the road taking on the Jacksonville Icemen. Because what a great name for a hockey team based in Florida. As a reason for it, Jacksonville was a major port. St. Augustine, Jacksonville, an area where ships would come into Florida back in the day, carry big blocks of ice. Like, you know how they used to have to ship gigantic blocks of ice, and then whatever was left by the time they got out of the Florida sun, they would chip it into littler blocks of ice. And then, like, dudes in funny hats would grab those big claw clamper things, and they would clamp the bit, and then they would slide it to wherever it had to go. Those were Icemen. And so they named the hockey team after that. Okay, fine, I guess.
Claw clamper things, scientific term?
Yeah, technical term, for sure.
All right.
Hey, George, glad the clamper things, would you? Yes, they are. That's exactly what they're called in the industry. Cool name. You're like 2 hours away from maybe the best hockey name in the game, the Orlando Solar Bears. That's a great name for a team. Another great name for a team, also out of Florida, the Florida Everblades. Get it? Because there's the Everglades close to where they play, but because it's hockey and you wear ice skates, they're the Everblades. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. So we have got Mark Bonetti, the voice of the Bits, coming up later on this AM. Around 8:40 to talk some local hockey with us. We'll get his thoughts on the Carolina Hurricanes. They are now back to second place in the Metropolitan Division. Here's my favorite thing. 3-2 win over the San Jose Sharks yesterday. All 3 goals scored by defensemen. All 3 goals scored off the back check. All 3 goals scored by the back line. That's very interesting to me, and I'm curious to see if Mark Bonetti has any thoughts about that. So we got that coming up later on in the show. And I don't care if you don't want to. We got to talk baseball today. Because 2 days ago, Juan Soto signed a $765 million contract to go play for the New York Metropolitans. That $765 million contract has a player option in 5 years that if Juan Soto elects to option into, Juan Soto will make north of $800 million. You add in all of the additional escalators, that thing could be well north of $800 million. Now, it's not going to threaten a Billy, but I'd be willing to bet that probably, Zoe, in the next decade, we will have our first $1 billion contract given to an athlete. It's probably sooner rather than later. Somebody did say something interesting yesterday. I have for many years beat up on owners because, as I pointed out, I did the math on this yesterday, Zoe. If Juan Soto was to earn every single dollar available to him in his contract, he would have in total 0.03% of the total accumulated wealth of Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets. 0.03% of the wealth of the owner. This is why I have said, because obviously there's been a hell of a lot of people that have been, Juan Soto, how greedy, how selfish. We got to stop with these ludicrous contracts. And I've said, hold up. I got into this conversation with my actual mother yesterday because she texted me and she's like, this is unbelievable. As opposed
to your virtual mother? I mean, as my actual mother. I
think the point that I was actually making there, the point that I was genuinely making there was that, I go with my mom with the hot takes too. All right. Nobody gets a special treatment. Not even my dear sweet mother. Anyway, she said, this is ludicrous. This is just too much. And I said, whoa, Miss Brown, hold your horses just a little bit. If you want to be mad at somebody, you should be mad at the guy who owns the team, who has just handed out the largest contract in the history of sports. Not baseball, not American sports. All sports globally forever, the largest contract yet, making 0.03%. Over 15 years, by the way. This isn't like here's one contract for 1 year worth 0.03% of the wealth. No. That is Juan Soto in 15 years of selling out stadiums will earn 0.03% of what the owner is. So if you want to have a conversation about contracts in sports, I'm here and I'm down with it. But that conversation needs to start with baseball, not with players. You do not need to be coming after Juan Soto for taking a contract that was offered to him. You need to go after baseball for the structure that allows it to happen that way.
Yeah, what's he supposed to do? Go, you know what?
Oh, I feel like I'm earning too much money to
play
a
what?
game. People
People out there are saying that this is too much money, and I got to listen to them, and they're right. This is too much money. I just take it down some.
Yep.
I don't want people looking at me a certain way. Come on. Stop it. Let them make what they can make. I mean, the only place where I have a problem with people making more money than me is here. But, that's just a me thing.
Well, that's because if anybody's making more money than you, they could probably pay Juan Soto's contract.
Maybe.
That's my bet. That's my guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's my estimation.
Mm-hmm. Let's trade checks.
So I think you might be pleasantly surprised.
No, actually, radio is we don't make as much as people seem to think we do.
Yeah, our checks are.
But when we're joking, we're not really joking.
Our checks are. You want some free concert tickets this week? And the answer, Roy, is yes, I do. Thank you very much.
I think the majority of people who are angry about how much money sports figures make are jealous, and I get it. I'm jealous too, but I want them to make as much as they can. Good for them.
We're going to talk a little bit about that later on. But more importantly, I also want to talk about the fact that Max Fried is now a New York Yankee. Signed a contract yesterday to be the next great New York Yankees pitcher, leaving the Braves flapping in the wind for what's coming next. But here's the thing.
Are you going to panic before the season even starts for the Braves?
No, because you've got a couple of other guys down there, and I don't necessarily think the Braves don't have 2 or 3 guys in the minors that I think could be very good. Now, I am going to say none of this matters because the Yankees and the Dodgers are going to face each other in the World Series for the next 4 years. I don't think this part I am being sincere about. I will not panic this year because it's over before it starts. The Yankees and the Dodgers are going every year forever. And I'll tell you why I believe that when we come back here in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown, the advocate on the other side, the man in charge of the buttons and the switches and the levers and the knobs and the gears and the pulleys and the ramps and other simple machinery that makes us sound this good is the great one, Lonzo. We are back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Lights.
All right, guys, quick read right out of the gate. We're coming right back. Stay right there, please, and thank you.
books that give you found any?
Yes. Yeah.
So I've got like 6 books now. Bunch of them for exploration, but a couple for fighting. So, which I really needed. I finally decided I'm gonna stealth as much as I can, but you know what? I can kick everybody's butt here. Until I got chased by like 20 guys. I got away though. I did die once. So, the one time I didn't get away. This is like they were throwing stuff at me.
So I think Major League Baseball, so that we are very clear, Major League Baseball is coming off of, I think, the best season it has had in a really long time. I am talking about a phenomenal regular season. I am talking about, honestly, perhaps, perchance, maybe, the best postseason that I can remember. This was a postseason that if you are a baseball guy, I honestly believe this postseason specifically, I believe this postseason may have been the best postseason since I was like a kid. It was good. Now, I acknowledge that there is perchance, just a maybe, a little bit of recency bias. Maybe it was just the best postseason because it was really good and we just finished it. I don't know. We'll reevaluate that down the line. But what I will say is that this postseason had a little bit of anything and everything. It had underdogs. It had heavy favorites. It had superstars. It had drama. It had a little bit of anything and a little bit of everything. It was to me fantastic. And I got really jazzed up about next season. Really jazzed up about next season.
Surprised you're not wearing the jazz gloves while you're doing your jazz hands.
If I'd have known I was going to say that on the radio. I don't think people understand how much of the dumb things I say right off top of the noggin. All right?
Do you actually have jazz glove?
No, I do not have jazz
I mean, you
gloves.
could. You could.
I do not have jazz gloves.
Are they even called that?
I don't even know what jazz gloves are. I assumed you just meant like Michael Jackson sparkly rhinestone gloves.
The guys who do jazz hands. It may be mime gloves. Let's go with that.
I just want to be clear. I don't know anything about what you're talking about right now. But what I do know is I was very excited about the 2025 Major League Baseball season. And that's not to say I'm not, because, even when the conclusion of events are foregone conclusions, to me, the beauty in the game is competition. This is why I'm a soccer guy and y'all aren't. Because the mindset for many of you, yes, I am going to right now give Lonzo everything he wants out of life and sound like a snooty, pretentious D-bag for just a minute. Maybe I am. I don't know.
It's Monday through Friday. I'm looking at jazz hand gloves right now. It was a risk looking that up, but they're like full glove things. Go ahead. Be snooty.
Thanks. I don't want to sound like a snooty, pretentious D-bag, but I'm going to do it anyway. Many of you are going to learn to appreciate the game more when you learn to appreciate the game more. Many of you are going to learn to appreciate the game more when you stop paying attention solely to touchdowns and start actually looking at the game being played by the athletes. So I've said I can sit there and I can watch a 3-0 ball game and have the time of my life, because it is not about watching the ball and seeing if it goes in the end zone. It is about watching the ball and watching everything, the ballet that plays out, the dance that plays out between everybody on the field. When the ball is snapped, I'm watching guards and tackles and blocking schemes and strategies. I'm watching first and second level defenders and how they react and which gaps they try to fill. I'm watching the different seals and cuts and blocks that offensive linemen are making. Then I'm going to the footwork of the quarterback. I'm looking at the routes and releases of the wide receivers. I'm looking at the defensive backs and where and how they are playing. That is where the beauty of the game lies. Not throw ball deep, go catch ball. Like, all right, that's the point, sure. But I want to see the game broken down into the best athletes in the world doing what they do. So even when I know that the Yankees and the Dodgers are going back to the World Series next year, even when I know that is the outcome, I can still get excited about watching baseball because to me, I'm not just watching the game to see who's going to be the champ. I'm watching the game because I enjoy the game of baseball, and I enjoy people playing baseball.
This would have been a good spot for a James Earl Jones clip.
Oh, from
Field of Dreams.
From Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Ray, I watch baseball. I don't have a good James Earl Jones. I wish I did. What
Who does?
James Earl Jones and no one else.
Well, AI James Earl Jones.
That's a good call.
Because he allowed that to happen. So he will continue.
The spot that I love baseball is in the playing of the game of baseball. It is in the matchup on any given pitch between a pitcher and a hitter. The pitcher trying to figure out what he's going to throw that's not going to be seen coming, and if it is, how he can make the baseball hitter hit the ball where he wants. It is the baseball hitter trying to figure out when the pitcher's trying to get one by him and when he's trying to direct the baseball into the field. That's where baseball is beautiful.
America.
The problem that I have this year, and unfortunately this year, and probably the next few years, is that, unfortunately, I think the writing is on the wall as to who the champ is going to be. And here is why. The New York Mets maybe compete with the LA Dodgers with the addition of Juan Soto, but I doubt it. Because here's the reality. Juan Soto is a very, very average outfielder. He's not adding a glove to the outfield. He adds one of the best bats in baseball, to the point that the assumption for many of us is that Juan Soto is going to, over the next 2 or 3 years, Juan Soto is going to move into a role where he is exclusively a designated hitter, making $760 million plus over the next 15 years. I don't know that one guy, as good as he is, and I do think Juan Soto is a generational talent, I don't think that one guy is going to, by himself, single-handedly change the fortunes of that baseball team. Here's where I get apprehensive. The Toronto Blue Jays were in the mix, but the Blue Jays have never spent that much money in one offseason. I frankly don't know why it was that this is the moment, this is the guy that they were going to change a career's and existence's philosophy over. Same with the Red Sox. The Yankees are willing to put that much money out there. And if the Yankees were willing to spend $765 million over 15 years on one player, do you know what that means the Yankees are willing to do? It means the Yankees are willing to spend $765 million on a lot of players. And literally a day and a half after Juan Soto departs the New York Yankees and makes his way over to the New York Mets, right on the opposite side of town, they go get Max Fried out of Atlanta. They go get Max Fried, and they are paying Max Fried $218 million for 8 years. So Atlanta's out on Max Fried. 30-year-old was stellar over the past 7 years, but now was a Yankee. And if they're willing to give $218 to Max Fried to keep him from going somewhere else, the Yankees aren't done. The Yankees aren't done. They outbid the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Rangers and others for Max Fried, who now joins Garrett Cole, who is one of the best in the American League, if not the best, Carlos Rodon, Luis Gil, Clark Schmidt, Nestor Cortez, Marcus Stroman. And now they have Max Fried. They have too many good starting pitchers. They have more than a rotation's worth. That's a problem. The problem is there's more names out there. There's more dudes that are available. There are still names out there like Corbin Burns, like Roki Sasaki coming over from Japan. There are names out there like Alex Bregman. There are names out there like Anthony Santander. There are names out there like Pete Alonso. There are names out there like Tanner Scott, like Shane Bieber, like Christian Walker. And if the Yanks were willing to go in, because I think they have to, they do not want to get outpaced by the Dodgers who just beat them. If they want to go all in, the next thing that they have to do, it's not an option, it is an obligation, is to take that $765 million they were willing to give to Juan Soto and go give it to other guys. The Yankees aren't done. They are building a definitive all-star team. This is why I have said I am on board with a salary cap in Major League Baseball. Now, you know all that comes along with that. It's a conversation we've had plenty of times with college ball. You want a salary cap? You're going to have to negotiate that. You're going to have to negotiate that alongside the players. And if you go to the players and you say, hey, we would like to put a cap on how much money you guys can make, you have to give them a bunch of other concessions. But here's my thought. If I'm Steve Cohen or any baseball owner, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do that because we are probably 5 to 6 years away from $1 billion contract in Major League Baseball. So I'm willing to do that now to prevent $1 billion contract down the line. And if I got to come up with other concessions, so be it. But there aren't that right now. That's not a thing right now. And if that's not a thing right now, and the Yankees had $765 million to give to Juan Soto, it means they have $765 million to give to other players. The Yanks are about to build a super team. It is going to kick off an arms race with the LA Dodgers, who are already in on Sasaki. This is not going to be fun for anybody that's a fan of a small market team. It's just not, because those two teams are going to outpace everybody in spending, and the rest of us are just going to be like, well, I hope we have fun in our trying. All right, we'll talk more baseball later on in the show. Coming up here in just a few minutes, could AI be an option as a way to make a better playoff selection committee? We'll talk about that. Denton Day of SiriusXM's College Football Overtime joins us later in the show. So does Mark Benetti, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. All coming up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Good morning, gents. Heard you last night on the BetMGM show. That host is whack. Dude, Brad's a guy. Brad's a character, man. I love Brad. I will say he has grown on me quite a bit. He's a super nice guy. And then there's my guy, Ryan Horvat, who is just an absolute icon in the broadcasting industry. I will be hosting BetMGM tonight on the 26th, Thursday night after Christmas, along with Pat Boyle, who you can hear on this fine Odyssey station on Sundays talking NFL football. Football. I love football.
Minute and a half. Good for you. But Zach, I mean, that's awesome to have your team playing for a state championship. But you will never convince us because we know how to read. I'm not saying you don't. I mean, you've been raised to not pronounce the T in Clinton. And so it's probably not your fault. And I'm wondering if the teachers, what if the teachers in Clinton pronounce it Clinton? I need to research that. I'm not sure I know anybody from Clinton.
Eight 844-326-FANFONE. 844-326-3663. Text us 71307. That's the renewal by Anderson to the Carolinas fan phone, by the way. I should say the numbers that I'm just saying. 844-326-3663. Text us 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and join us on the live stream, facebook.com/The Fan Upstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, or The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You can also use the Ray Memorial Hotline, which is available for you on the Odyssey app. Go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Put it on all your digital devices. Once you get there, go to the Fan Upstate page. Click on the button that says leave a voice message. You can leave a 30 to 60-second voice recording that comes directly to me. I'm going to keep it a buck with you because I'm the only host in the game that is 100% honest. I'm sadly disappointed with the lack of usage of the Ray Memorial Hotline. All right. We busted it to set this thing up. I thought, it's a way to communicate with the show 24/7, 365. And on top of that, to say anything you want at any time you want. You can say anything you want on that line. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to play everything, but I will. Go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY, and send us a voice message on the Ray Memorial Hotline. I really thought you guys were going to light that thing up. We have spurts. Had like 10 this weekend. Played a bunch of them Monday and Tuesday, and then nothing so far since then. I'm just saying. Lonzo put in all the work to create, to code, to program, and optimize that thing. I expected more. Real quick. Zach jumped on the live stream. He said, Robin Lonzo, my Clinton Red Devils are playing for the 2A state championship tomorrow in Orangeburg. And yes, that's Clinton pronounced with no T. Lonzo called him to the carpet and said, hey, I wonder if the English teachers in Clinton call it Clinton. And Zach said, none of the teachers say it like that. LOL. I mean, I feel like, Zach, we don't need to say anything else, do we?
No, that's.
I feel like that ends it right there.
That took care of it, yeah.
I feel like that ends it. If the people who teach in and love that community are pronouncing it as Clinton, correctly, then I feel like what else do you need? What else do you need to know, man?
Matt about everything wants to know what's the topic for calls. There's no topic.
Literally anything you want to get to.
Well, sports.
Mad about everything.
Maybe. Well, on the Ray Memorial Hotline or whatever that is, where Ray died, you can talk about anything. Here, you probably should talk about sports.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, whatever you want, provided it's entertaining. How's that? All right, there are actually topics that we need to get to on the radio broadcast today. There are things that we need to get to on the show today. We will start with Mike Shula being promoted to the offensive coordinator of the South Carolina Gamecock football team.
You remember the controversy when the former offensive coordinator was hired and how he was never successful anywhere, and there's no way it could be successful here with the Gamecocks?
The first half of that, I think, is actually a very fair thing to say. The second half, I don't know. The second half was speculation. Dow Loggins gets hired to go be the head coach at Appalachian State University.
Well, there was a comparison going on at the time because another school had just hired an offensive coordinator who was supposed to be of higher quality. So,
I was specifically told, by the way, that South Carolina definitely wanted that guy. And it was written down in a notepad in the office.
We were specifically told.
Don't. It's a thinly veiled joke. It's a gag. It's a shtick.
I want to be included.
You were. It literally happened when, that was a big deal.
Right, but you didn't mention me when you were talking.
Oh, sorry.
It, so, I mean,
I will specifically.
You're so singular.
When I make thinly veiled references, I will always make sure that I unveil them.
When the team is involved. I mean, let's talk about
that was
team.
the thinly veiled joke. That yes, it was the team that made that. It was okay. So I want to address what you said about Dow Loggins.
By the way, I was pointing something out to you with what I was just doing.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm trying to help you out.
I don't know that I have a lot of insight in that, but I'll come back to that. Mad about everything. Love the A in there. Everything. Oh, sorry. I got boogie.
You got it. Dude, I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be.
I had a boogie.
I'm trying to be your friend, and I'm over here. I'm pointing.
No,
you got it.
What's wrong with you?
You got it. It was in your mustache. You got it though. I mean, it's gone. I don't know where it is now. Hopefully, Diesel finds it later.
Diesel may actually have an aneurysm.
Okay.
He was
get a hazmat
He was real mad about them coffee mugs yesterday. Real mad about them coffee mugs. Do you notice they're gone now? He was real mad. He was texting me. He's like, yo, who the bleep? I was like, I don't know, dog. Wasn't me. I don't drink coffee. Anyway, all right. So, Dow Loggins. I do not think that it was unfair to question the hiring of Dow Loggins. I don't think it was unfair to question that. I think it was fair to question Shane. I think it was fair to question Ray Tanner. I think it was fair to question that move. This is indeed a guy who was a tight ends coach previously. That doesn't mean that he wasn't a major part of the Arkansas offense before he got the promotion to South Carolina. But I do think you have to look at it and you have to say, why we make that move? What was the point of that move? How is that the right hire to make? And I think that's a fair question to ask. The hiring and the decision of Dow Loggins to move to Appalachian State is a very interesting one to me. And it's a very interesting one to me for one primary reason. That primary reason is you are coming into this year with a quarterback that is going to be considered next year as a legitimate and genuine Heisman Trophy threat. Lenore Sellers is already being discussed as a Heisman Trophy threat for next year. And I think it's fair. The Lenore's hype train was just full steam ahead towards the end of the year. In fact, one of the folks who was making the push, or the folks who were making the push to get the Gamecocks into the playoff, were using Lenore Sellers as a major arguing point. So Dow Loggins had the opportunity to come back and to lead an offense with a Heisman Trophy frontrunner at quarterback, with rapidly developing talent at the skill position set, and a pretty damn good recruiting class coming in to fill in the gaps. But he decides to make the push. I understand. I mean, for a guy like Dow Loggins, there was no guarantee that an opportunity like this would come along again, soon, ever, yada, yada, yada. I get it. Again, I don't understand why this was the school and that was the play, with all due respect to Diesel's Mountaineers. But this ain't the Appy State that went up to Ann Arbor and stole a dub. This ain't that same team. It's just not the same squad anymore. Now, maybe Dow Loggins can make it the same squad. I don't know. We'll find out. But it does mean that Mike Shula is going to step in and become the offensive coordinator. What's that mean? I'm going to start with this. I am intrigued to start with what, if any, changes are going to be made to the schemes and to the systems. I am interested in finding out what is going to change about this offense, if anything. Now, we know a couple of things. We know that Mike Shula, probably based on who was in-house, that if Shane wants to stay in-house, Mike Shula was probably the most viable candidate. I mean, unless there was another guy out there that was just an absolute must-have hire, and they were on board. And I don't know that there was going to be that guy.
A level of familiarity with Lenore Sellers, what makes him comfortable seeing the progression that we saw this year, that maybe that factors in, that maybe he likes him, so you keep him for that?
I honestly think that was going to be the premier reason, and here's why. Mike Shula, since his days at the head coach position of Alabama, Mike Shula's reputation over the past handful of years has been building successful offenses that dial in on the talent of the quarterback. That has kind of been the MO of Mike Shula. This is how Cam Newton won Rookie of the Year in 2011 and won NFL MVP in 2015. Those offenses were either orchestrated by offensive coordinator Mike Shula, or they were shaped by quarterbacks coach Mike Shula. The reason Mike Shula got the job is very simple. The dude's legacy, and maybe that's a strong word, the dude's standard operating procedure, at least as I understand it, is that Mike Shula understands before anything else the unique talents of his quarterbacks, and then he shapes the offense to that. Well, if you're South Carolina, you've got a pretty damn unique talent at quarterback in Lenore Sellers. He's a dude that he's got a cannon when he needs to get the ball down the field. But as the Clemson Tiger fans are now very familiar with, dude is a 242-pound tackle breaking machine. That's something you take advantage of. That's not to say that I suddenly got to run the Army offense where I got Lenoris throwing 2 times a game. What it is saying is you can work that in. You know what that does. Now all of the sudden, second-level defenders cannot know whether it is a run or a pass until it is run or passed. They cannot drop off. They cannot go do anything outside of play assignment defensive football. And what does that do for a quarterback? Golly, does that open the field up? So I think the hire of Mike Shula. And by the way, somebody texted the show a minute ago, and they said, there we go, another fired coach coming to town. Yeah. But I think with rare exceptions, and this is one of those spots where if you are a college football guy, and a college football guy first and foremost, you may not understand this. If you're an NFL coach and you're not an NFL head coach, and hell, even if you are an NFL head coach, unless you're an NFL coach named Reed, Belichick, etc., you get fired because NFL fans have zero patience. Zero. None, not a 9. To the point that I got Houston Texans fans calling for DeMeco Ryans to be fired right now. This man took you from a team that was expected to be a full, entire, total, top to bottom, left to right, up to down rebuild last year and won a division. They want him fired the next year because they've hit a little bit of a snag. If you're in the NFL and you spend any amount of time, you get fired. That's part of the gig. Every coach that goes to the league understands that. So I'm not particularly worried about that. I was more concerned with, to keep it 100 with you, I was more concerned with the fact that Dow Loggins was voted by his peers the worst offensive coordinator like a couple of times at the NFL. Comes down to Arkansas. He's a tight ends coach and tight ends coach only, and then he gets promoted immediately to OC. I was concerned about that. And I will go one step further. 9-3 year. Hard to complain about that. LaNorris Sellers started the LaNorris for Heisman hype in the last 4 or 5 games of the year. And I still don't think that offense was as good as it could have been. I think there were a lot of spots where they relied too much on LaNorris running the ball. It's not to say you don't take advantage of it. It's when you do that the way that, like, my little brother used to play Madden 07 with Michael Vick. You can't run Michael Vick every play, man. That doesn't work in what works in a video game, doesn't work in real life. I genuinely think they got a little simplistic later in the season. It still won, but got a little simplistic later in the season and effectively said, well, we'll run this simple concept, and if it doesn't work, we'll let LaNorris be LaNorris. I think Shula's better than that. I think Shula understands how to cater the offense to LaNorris without turning it into, hey, LaNorris, run! As it felt like sometimes happened last year. All right, we'll talk more about this later on in the show. We got your water cooler cheat sheet coming up in the next segment. Top 3 sports stories I need to know as you get set to head into the office this lovely Wednesday morning. We got Denton Day, host of SiriusXM's College Football Overtime. We'll talk about the playoff bracket and this AI thing with him coming up to end the next hour. Mark Bonetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, will end the 8 o'clock hour talking a little local hacky and more, all coming up on the Rob Brown Show. That's after Lonzo charms you with this sports flash.
Like a snake charmer with that flute thingy, whatever that is. Days after Dow Loggins departed South Carolina to become the head coach at Appalachian State, Shane Beamer has filled the offensive coordinator role with former Alabama coach Mike Shula. I know we just talked about it. I grabbed the wrong story first. According to ESPN, Shula was credited with playing a role in the development of LaNorris Sellers. Carolina Hurricanes picked up win number 18 with a 32 victory over the San Jose Sharks last night. Carolina is now tied with the New Jersey Devils for second in the Metropolitan Division, 1 point behind Washington. College football transfer portal has officially opened, and already major names have entered. Mississippi State quarterback Michael Van Buren joined former SMU starter Preston Stone, Howard Sampson, running back Antonio Martin Jr. from Southeastern Conference, Southeastern Louisiana. Yeah. Wow. Watch that one. I was distracted. I'm blaming him for that. I mean, if you guys you see, I have no idea what he was doing. It's like, what the heck is he doing? Trying to work over here. Okay, what were you doing?
The tip of my stylus.
Okay, all right.
Fell off. And the problem is I switched to a black tip because they make 2 different ones, and the black ones are a harder writing tip, which that doesn't matter except for the carpet's black-ish. so I can't write now.
It's good to like get a pen and paper. Yeah, I know.
What is this, medieval times?
Apparently.
I'm never going to find this damn thing. I don't know what fell out. That's infuriating. Since I changed it literally like 3 days ago, the bag of tips that I usually keep with me in case this happens is on my desk at the house.
When it comes to the best sports podcast, listen to the Fan Upstate on Odyssey no matter where you are. In the car, at home, at work. Download the free Odyssey app on your phone. Search the Fan Upstate and you're in the game. Hey, now we roll. The Fan Upstate.
Sorry, everyone on the stream.
Sports.
Getting motion sickness.
Two Broke Girls. Now let's go out to Masters coverage.
Thank you for joining us after another incredible episode of Two Broke Girls. I don't know if it's quite appropriate to say right now, Kat Dennings, absolute smoke shots. The only thing
That sucks a lot.
The National Golf Course is Kat Dennings.
It's news. The Rob Brown Show. Now morning 6 to 10 on the Fan.
The Fan Upstate.
QC in the first break, and
You see in the first break.
got a thing to do now. Just saying. I mean,
Yeah, I know. I'm working up until I can't work no more.
ah,
It's gonna drive me up a friggin' wall.
Rob Brown Manufactured locally for the players. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Oh, it just snapped off. Sweet.
You stay classy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour numero dos of the Rob Brown Show goes now. It's the Fan Upstate. Great to have you, Rob, the great one, Lonzo, with you. Be a part of the radio program. The phone lines, the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas, fan phone specifically, is open right now at 844-326-3663, 844-FAN. FONE, the text line's open, 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN. FAN, FAN, FAM. We'll read it on the air. You can also get at us on Twitter, at the Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, or everybody at the Fan Upstate. You can watch us on the live stream, facebook.com/the Fan Upstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, or the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. We're live all 4 hours, all 5 days a week. As we have mentioned a couple of times, we are with you through the end of this week. We are with you all next week. Then Christmas week. We will be in on Monday. We will be out Tuesday through Friday. Then the week after that, we will be in on the 30th and 31st. We will be out on Wednesday the 1st. We're back for Thursday and Friday the 2nd and the 3rd. And then when we come back on January 6th, normal real life resumes. So there's your programming schedule. Once you on the Ray Memorial Hotline, go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Go to the Fan Upstate homepage and drop us a voice note by clicking on the button that says leave a voice note. 30 to 60 seconds. Just say whatever you want to say. All right. Let's have some fun with that. Coming up in this hour of the show, we are just mere moments away from getting you your water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know in sports segment. Numero dos, we'll talk a little bit about artificial intelligence as a member of the playoff committee has said that they are open to the possibility of utilizing AI as an asset in the playoff selections. We'll talk about that. We got Denton Day, the host of SiriusXM's College Football Overtime coming up to end this hour of the show. At 8:40, an hour after that, Mark Benetti, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, will join us live from the butthole of America, Jacksonville, Florida, to give us a little update on the Bits. Those poor SOBs got to spend a couple of days in Jacksonville. Woof. We'll talk to Mark Benetti at 8:40 about why they're going to beat the Icemen 900-0. Then we got what the X is going on to wrap up the show, and we're off into our Wednesday. Just like that. Blah, 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 blah. We got a segment to do here. You're on your way to work. You have 56 and a half minutes left until you got to get there. You got to put in that unnecessarily complex password into the computer. You got to wait while your little email app spins and opens up. And then you're going to open it. I got all these dadgum emails. I got freaking boss and Jillian down the hall and accounts receivable. And we're 2 cents off. 2 cents. Got to find the 2 cents. And then you're going to walk down the hall. You're going to go to the break room. You're going to stand in front of the water cooler. And you're going to do the one thing that brings you joy and happiness at work, aside from listening to the Rob Brown Show. You're going to talk about sports. And when you do, you're going to be talking about this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
These are going to hurt you, sir.
take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go.
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know. Before you get to the office and take that first break, start talking sports with your friends, your coworkers, maybe that one guy down the hall that you find really, really annoying, but he knows his stuff, so you're intrigued by the conversation. This is what you'll be talking about. Item number 1. As we mentioned in the last segment, Dow Loggins, the offensive coordinator of the South Carolina Gamecocks, is no longer the offensive coordinator of the South Carolina Gamecocks. He is now the head coach of the Appalachian State Mountaineers, which meant that there was a vacant office in Columbia, South Carolina. I say was a vacant offense because that vacant office has now been filled. Former Alabama head coach Mike Shula is being promoted. Is being promoted.
They done been promoted.
Golly, promoted to offensive coordinator at South Carolina after spending this past season in the role of offensive analyst for the Gamecocks, according to ESPN. Shula is within the program credited with a key role in the development of redshirt freshman Lenora Sellers, who turned into one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC down the stretch prior to joining Shane Beamer's staff in 2024. Shula had spent the previous 17 seasons in the NFL as an offensive coordinator and or quarterbacks coach at a number of different destinations. He was quarterbacks coach and later offensive coordinator with the Carolina Panthers when Cam Newton won the NFL Rookie of the Year award in 2011. He was the offensive coordinator when Cam Newton won the league's MVP award in 2015. That is the same year, of course, that the Carolina Panthers ended up booking a trip to the Super Bowl. The son of NFL Hall of Famer Don Shula played quarterback at Alabama in the mid-'80s, later coached the Tide from 03 to 06 before he was relieved of his duties and replaced by Nick Saban. Good timing on that one. The promotion was reported yesterday by our friends at GamecockCentral.com and was confirmed by ESPN later on in the day. So Mike Shula taking over as the OC for Shane Beamer. Item number 2. Glug, glug, glug. There it is. Okay. I was gonna do the glug myself.
Sorry, I saw a meme about Yukon Cornelius open carrying since 1964.
Silver and gold. Silver. The opening round of the NBA Cup yesterday. Well, the opening of the knockout round of the NBA Cup got underway yesterday. 2 games between the 1 and the 4 seeds, and chalk across both sides of the bracket. The Milwaukee Bucks, the 1 seed out of the East, are on their way to the semifinals with a 114-109 win last night over the Orlando Magic. Check this out. Andre Jackson Jr. had 5 points. Brooke Lopez had 7 points. Taurean Prince had 0 points. There's 3 of your starters right there. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 37. Dame Lillard had 28. And Bobby Portis had 22 off the bench. The Bucks rode the trio of hot hands out of round 1. They put away the Magic, who are right now without Franz Wagner, which is disappointing because I like saying Franz Wagner. They got 32 out of Jalen Suggs. They got a dozen out of Goga, and that was really for the most part. And Anthony Black came in for 17 off the bench, but the Bucks down the Magic with relative ease. They will await the winner of tonight's 2-3 matchup out of the East between the Knicks and the Hawks. Over in the West, the 1-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder run away from the Dallas Mavericks last night, 118-104. The Thunder are on now to the semifinals. The Thunder led last night by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's 39. They got 18 out of Jalen Williams as well. The Thunder had only 20 points off of their bench, but SGA gave them all they wanted and a little bit more. 15 of 23 from the floor, 5 of 9 from behind the arc. Also hit all 4 of his efforts from the charity stripe. Just 7 free throws attempted by the Oklahoma City Thunder, and yet still won by 14. So the Thunder on to the knockout round. They await the winner this evening between the 2-3 Rockets and Warriors. And if the Warriors lose to the Rockets tonight, then Lonzo has to acknowledge that this is an awesome tournament. That's just how it works.
I'm a little confused. So this is actually like a real tournament. So teams will go to other people's places to play?
No, these games are all in Vegas.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me. The semifinals
but
are in Vegas.
But the other one, they're actually playing people that are in the bracket. They're playing against each other.
Yeah.
How's
it's a bracket.
That? So they weren't scheduled, but because they made it to. So
if you make it to the knockout round, as we explained
I'm not talking about this round.
These games are added to these games are added to your schedule. And then at the end of the year, they will actually pop a couple of regular season games off so that everybody's still playing their 82 games. So if you make it to this round, these games are added to your schedule and you will have a shift down the line of the schedule to make sure that everybody's.
So do they go through and find games that are meaningless that doesn't affect the playoffs?
I don't remember the exact format.
Maybe they were supposed to play somebody and that team was trying to get into playoffs, and now
I don't remember the exact format.
Eliminated. It's just okay. All right.
But these games, so the quarterfinals took place last night. That game was in Milwaukee. Last night, that game was in OKC. The game between the Knicks and the Hawks will be in New York. The game between the Rockets and the Warriors in H-Town. And then the semifinal games, which will be Bucks versus Knicks Hawks winner, and the semifinal game between the Thunder and Rockets Dubs winner. Those 2 games and the championship game will take place in Las Vegas, Nevada, with a whole lot of money on the line. All right, we'll talk more NBA Cup later because Lonzo really wants to. Let's go to item number 3. Two-time MLB All-Star Max Fried and the New York Yankees have agreed to an 8-year, $218 million contract, according to ESPN, is the largest guarantee for a left-handed starting pitcher in history. Now, the deal is pending a physical. It is the 12th contract of at least $100 million the Yankees have given out in franchise history. That is the most $100 million contracts handed out by a franchise in MLB history, breaking a tie with the Dodgers. The 30-year-old has turned into one of the best pitchers in the National League over his last 7 years with the Atlanta Braves. 2 All-Stars, a 2.1 ERA over the past 5 seasons in Atlanta. That is the best in the majors, just ahead of the 2.88 ERA hurled by Corbin Burns, who is still out there as a free agent. The Yankees made the move for Fried. It was also pursued by the Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Rangers 2 days after outfielder Juan Soto left for the rival Mets on the largest contract in the history of professional sports. Fried will join Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Luis Gil, Clark Schmidt, Nestor Cortez, and Marcus Stroman in the Yankee rotation. His $218 million deal exceeds that of David Price, who signed with the Red Sox for $217 million back in 2015. Price and Clayton Kershaw's contract with the Dodgers for $215 million were the only other left-handed pitchers to receive at least $200 million in a contract. Here's my takeaway from this, and we'll get into what this means for the Yankees. We'll get into what this means for the American League. We'll get into what this means for the Braves. But I'll say this before I say anything else. The rest of the league is screwed with a capital SCA because I don't think the Yankees are done. I don't think the Yankees are done. They were willing to put $765 million on the table. They did not get that deal done. Juan Soto goes to the Mets. Now, the Dodgers are out there signing fat stat contracts as well. They also wanted Juan Soto, or at least were interested in him. They were not willing to go to $765 million, but Rookie Saka is coming over from Japan. He is expected to be a guy that is up there with Shohei Ohtani in terms of importance and relevance in Major League Baseball moving forward. He is expected to be an LA Dodger. If that is the case, the Yankees, who, and this is true, I did the research, lost to the Dodgers in the World Series, they got to do something to keep up. I would not be shocked if by the end of this hot stove season, the Yankees have invested every one of those $765 million they were willing to give Juan Soto. And that, my dear friends, that is going to make it interesting for every other team in Major League Baseball. There you have it, Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, top 3 sports stories you need to know. We will address all of them in greater detail coming up later on in the show. But when we come back here in just a minute, a member of the playoff selection committee said yesterday that they are open to the possibility of using artificial intelligence as a factor in their playoff selections. I actually think that's a great idea, not sarcastically. And I'm going to tell you why when we come back. I am Rob Brown, the great Milonzo on the ones and twos, and you on the phone lines at 844-326-3663, on the text line at 71307. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, one more live, and we're coming right back. Please don't go anywhere. It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing this around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around. Do.
Can't wait to hear what's next on Wire to Wire with Colin Diesel. Tell me what's coming up.
If your coach got fired this year, who would you want to replace him? Our first look at early thoughts on South Carolina versus Illinois. And Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered joins the show to talk about all the SEC bowl games and the playoffs. All that and more on the next Wire to Wire. Diesel and Cole Bryson really bringing on Wire to Wire.
Turn it on and leave it on.
Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate.
Denton Day, host of SiriusXM's College Football Overtime, joins us in the next segment to give us his thoughts on the college football playoff bracket. We'll talk about the selection process to get there, the games he loves in the first round, and his thoughts on Clemson and Texas coming up very shortly. A couple of texts real quick before we get to this conversation about AI. Texter said, Rob, the Braves will miss Freed the 50% of the every 5 games he was healthy for. Yeah, I mean, Max Fried had, I think, 175 in the third innings this year. His career high for innings was 181 in a third, if I recall. I'm doing that off the top of my head, but I'm very close, whatever those numbers actually are. What's not up for discussion is that when healthy and when he was able to go, Max Fried was one of the most dominant pitchers that the Braves have had in a very long time, like a very, very long time. So yeah, they will miss him for sure, especially if, and you got your fingers crossed that this doesn't happen, especially if Spencer Strider, the co-ace of that unit, is either unable to come back and stay healthy after a Tommy John surgery, or if he's not the same guy, which sometimes happens. We'll find out. Texter said Carolina did the same thing to Marcus Lattimore, ran that well dry, and got him hurt. Yeah, that's my big fear. It's my big fear is if you base the offense around Lenore's ability to run, and that is the primary weapon of the offense, that's a danger even if he is 242 pounds of lean, mean, tackle breaking machine. We'll circle back around to that.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Marcus, that was he got cheap shot. People say it wasn't a cheap shot. It was a cheap shot.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to this discussion. College Football Playoff Executive Director Rich Clark is in his first season at the helm. After a 4-decade career in the Air Force, he stepped in to become the ED of the CFP committee. He said, when asked about the possibility of AI becoming a tool for the playoff selection committee, Clark said, quote, AI will never take over, but might be a tool committee members might use. Here's what I'll say. AI is a tool that I've had to deal with AI in the military. In the military, we use AI in war fighting. We use AI to deliver weapons. But what I will say is we don't take the man out of the loop because war fighting is a human endeavor, end quote. So basically saying, look, We use AI in battle. Maybe not the worst idea to use it in this process as far as picking those teams that will play for a college football national championship. Zoe, I have a sound I want to play for you here. And this sound is the reason that I am all on board for AI. This is a file that AI delivered that I think is the best argument to be pro AI I've ever heard.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let Rudolph join in any reindeer games. And one foggy Christmas Eve, oh, Santa came to say, can you take me higher to a place where snowmen see? Can you take me higher to a place where sleigh bells ring?
That's beyond excellent. That's just levels beyond excellent. AI created Scott Stapp and Creed singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. There is a TikTok/Instagram account called There I Ruined It. And basically what this cat has gotten into is utilizing AI to have artists and bands sing other songs. He did one the other day that was the style of Christmas Time Bing Crosby singing To the Window to the Wall. I'll stop that song lyric right there. It's spectacular. It's incredible.
Yeah, I don't know what song that is. So
369. Okay. Nope, can't do that either.
could you name the artist that is?
That is a song called Get Low. That is Little John is on that album. It's Little John and the East Side Boys. And I think there's somebody else on that one too, but it's Little John. It's a Little John song.
So
it's very
featuring.
It's very dirty.
Okay.
It's very dirty.
All right. So I'm sure Bing Crosby.
That's hysterical, dude.
Would appreciate that.
It's hysterical. Yeah. It's the funniest thing. Now, I do want to be very clear. There are spots that I'm not big on AI. One of the things I'm not big on AI about is utilizing AI to take humans out of the human creative process. I think it can be a wonderful tool. I think it can be a wonderful asset.
You just praised that, and that's my first thought. Okay.
Yeah, because come on, dude.
If there's an impersonator doing that, I'm good with it. But the fact that the computer did it, it's not. It's
It's amusing. All right, can we let's keep it about? It's just
eventually
funny.
Popular radio down the hall is just going to be all AI generated.
Okay, let's not pretend for a bleeping second that it's not already completely manufactured. It 100% is manufactured. Utilizing AI is no worse than utilizing auto-tune, which is like 95% of the songs on pop radio now. Are anybody fight me on that?
I was being sarcastic, but okay.
Now, let's put the
jokes aside.
Pointing
out how you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. That's what I was doing. Yeah.
Let me fight through this segment so that I can play that again as our outro bumper.
No.
To a place where sleigh bells ring. It's spectacular. I'm actually on board, and here's why. I think that the metrics by which we determine who should make the college football playoffs can't just be the eye test. It can't. We have to consider everything that these teams do. It's not just a matter of looking at and going, "Ooh, I think that team's the best." Because, as I've said, I think if we get to a point where the imaginary games that we play in our head hold more value than the actual games that have been played on the grass. I think that's a problem. I think what you do on the grass should matter. And I don't think it's just should matter in terms of X beat Y, Y beat Z, and the risk of falling into the transitive property of football, which is, as we have said 1,000 times on the show, very, very dangerous. I think we should be diving as deep into the metrics as we possibly can. Data is good. Numbers are good. Evaluating data and the numbers is good. And I don't particularly care what you're talking about. If you are trying to develop a new weapons system for the United States military, if you are trying to figure out the best way to orchestrate, organize, and execute a product delivery system, if you are trying to, I'll tell you one thing that I spend every day doing is going through the metrics and the data to find out what are the people talking about? What are the people saying? Because I want to cater my show to the will of the people. I want to cater my show to what you guys want to talk about. Always have, always will. And so when I am trying to figure out how to do that, I have been utilizing more and more because I am indeed a man of the people. I got my sounds back, people. The world's a good place again. Utilizing AI to gather and organize these metrics are a good thing. I don't have a problem with utilizing artificial intelligence as effectively a data gathering and distribution tool that if you have a question about football, right? Like, because the big conversation is what? Well, they have this strength of schedule and they have this scoring margin and they have this, that, and the other. Imagine being able to take all of that information, have it at your fingertips, and be able to analyze it in a way that goes deeper than just the surface level metrics. That's what AI gives you the capability of doing.
Who programs the AI to look for certain things? Because whoever's programming it, they're going to tell them to look for things that they would look for.
That's Google. The way that an AI does is the AI is not given, like with traditional computing software, you give it the input, it runs it through a formula, it gives you the output. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you click on a website, what you are telling the computer is the input is this website destination. It puts it through a formula, and that formula results in the answer of direct the website browser to this website. What AI gives you the opportunity to do is to have all the data dumped in there, and you can tell it what metrics you want it to consider, not consider, to engage in, not engage with. It allows you to.
Which is what I just said, dude. I mean, you're telling it exactly what you want it to look for.
Okay, let me try to clarify.
And that's up to each individual person what they would look for.
Let me clarify this. What I can do is say, hey, Google, or hey, Pixel, or hey, Siri, or whatever AI we're utilizing here. What I can say is compare and contrast the scheduling between these 9 teams and include, my phone's actually trying to do this now. Sorry. Compare and contrast the schedule, because I have AI on my phone and it's beautiful and I use it daily.
Yeah, and mine doesn't listen to you because,
I want you
she only listens to my voice.
Take all of this information and I want you to compile it, but I want all these different ramifications considered and not considered. And I want you to tell me that, and it allows you to not just delve into a much more complex execution of the data, but it allows you, yes. Okay. Let me rephrase this. I think I get what you're saying. If I want to go look for a thing, yes, it is still my subjective opinion on what I am going and looking for.
This has always been your argument about why AI can never become sentient. So I'm just using what you've said.
You are correct, and for the record, correct, because at the end of the day, AI is still a program. But what the AI allows you to do is have a more back and forth with the computer as opposed to just input data and then it runs it in a formula and gives it back. I can actually have a back and forth with said computer. It can, and on top of that, and this is the most important thing, what this allows you to do is to have every single number down to the most minutia of details. I can ask it specifically what Lenora Sellers does when it is 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 on the home side of the football field while playing away in temperatures under X degrees. And it just has that. It can give it to me, and then it can include in that conversation outside details that may have impacted that. And that is something that Google can't really just do. It is going to give you a hell of a lot of different options as far as evaluating the data and providing more input into what is available to you for then a person in that room to go read and make a decision based on it. This is a great idea. I use AI daily, and it's a great idea. We'll find out what Denton Day thinks when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Ow. I have a wide bridge of my nose, so I have to push my little things on my glasses out so that it sits on my nose and not up above it. Except for it made them sharp and it stabs me. All right, guys, stepping away for just a minute while we get Denton Day lined up. Don't go anywhere. You handsome son of a gun. How do you do, partner?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Brother?
I like the Deadpool shirt.
Thank you. I remember having to wear sweaters to live when I lived in Ohio most of my life. I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore.
We have our Christmas party today, so I had to be festive.
You stay classy.
Good morning.
Hang on, I'm tweeting out a.
Good morning. Good morning.
I hope your stupid computer explodes.
Good night.
If that means I have to talk the next 2.5 hours
Do you feel him, sir?
without commercials, I'll do it. Alarm. Can I welcome our guest now, Lonzo? Do I have your permission?
I was stretching so you could do whatever the thing is you were doing, like you didn't know we were coming back from break when you heard the music. I was doing that thing.
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob, Lonzo's computer, and now joining us on the stream,
I am the hype.
is the host of SiriusXM's College Football Overtime, a show that I very much enjoyed listening to Denton Day on the drive back from Charlotte, North Carolina last Saturday night after Clemson wins in walk-off fashion over SMU, a game we'll get to here in just mere moments. But first, we have to say hello to the lovely, the legendary Denton Day here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. What up, big dog?
Do you feel him, sir? Yeet. I'm good, man. What's
Yeet.
up?
Oh, but yes, we do add another wrestling fan to the rotation. For those of you who
You got to
didn't
throw
know
those
that
in
already.
every once in a while just to see.
And test the water.
For sure. My dude, what a good little championship weekend we had. Just an absolute slobber knocker, to steal a phrase from the good old JR. An absolute slobber knocker of a contest between Georgia and Tech. Is it just me, especially if Carson Beck is down, certainly, but like, I don't think the top two SEC teams, to me, I don't feel as threatened by them, Denton Day, as I do Tennessee for some reason.
No, I don't feel threatened by any of those three schools. I would have put Texas at 10. I did not like what I saw from them against Georgia. And I know they're in the SEC championship and whatever. They just haven't looked like a complete scary offensive football team. So I don't love Texas. I didn't love Georgia with Carson Beck. I like them even less without Carson Beck. And then Tennessee gets arguably the worst matchup with Ohio State. You know, the winner of that Ohio State-Oregon game, potentially, or the Tennessee-Oregon game, that is, to me, is the favorite to win the national championship. But right now, Oregon is the best team. They're not an all-time great team, but they're the best team. And whoever wins that matchup in the second round is likely going to be the favorite moving forward, especially now with Carson Beck going down. A lot of pressure on a bunch of schools that maybe have not had this pressure before, Rob, which that could be fun to see who steps up to it and who maybe crumples and falls and maybe loses a job, but we'll get there.
We will get there. I am intrigued by, because coming into this, it just felt like there's Oregon. Well, let's start with this. Is Oregon is separated from everybody else? I said yesterday on BetMGM tonight, I kind of feel like Dylan Gabriel was like an honorary Heisman finalist, right? Like when you talk about the three cats that are above him, he's clearly coming in fourth. I think that was more of a, hey, one quarterback tip of the cap, got his team undefeated to the playoffs. I like this Oregon team a lot. Are they as head and shoulders above everybody else as the betting odds indicate they are, as some of the big talking heads indicate they are? Because I don't think they are.
No, they're definitely not. They're still a flawed team. They struggle to execute at times. Now, they looked really good against Penn State, and that Penn State defense has been pretty decent this year. So to go and hang, a 40 burger on them, that was certainly impressive. Getting Tez Johnson in the mix as much as they did, I think, was really beneficial for them and should be beneficial for them moving forward if that continues in the college football playoff. But there's nobody that's head and shoulders above everybody else, which does make this more fun. It makes it a lot more entertaining, because if you had, I'm sure the three of us all have a different national champion here. And if you add two more people, there might be two more national champions on there. I think that does elevate this 12-team playoff? Because I got to tell you, and going through this entire process, especially in the month of December, Rob, man, going from 4 to 12 was an aggressive move. I mean, that's a really big jump that the committee made. I think they got the teams right ultimately, but that was a tough move to make, and I think we're going to see it once we get to the games that there might be a lot in the first weekend that are maybe not as much of a slobber knocker as some of the games that we saw in championship weekend.
I do not think that you are wrong at all. As far as the 12 teams that get in, and let's start with the first round, there's a couple of spots I'm really intrigued by. Clemson plus 10.5 down in Austin, Texas. But this is obviously where we got to start considering intangibles. We've got to consider the intangibles that Dabo Swinney's been here many times. He understands the weight of this game on the road. I don't trust Steve Sarkisian in moments like this. I don't think he's earned it. Talk to me about a Clemson cover and a possible money line steal in round one on the road at Texas. Is that in any way in the cards?
Money line steal, no. Do not do that. Cover, I've already bet it. I've already bet that they're going to cover. And we're on the same side, but we stand in slightly different positions in terms of why we're on that side. I love Sark. I think Sark is excellent. I hate what Texas has done offensively this year, and I've been really disappointed with Quinn Ewers. And that number is so large. Look up and down that schedule for Texas. Who are they blowing out this year? Last year you could make that argument because they could put up 50 on the drop of a dime. I mean, hell, they were up like 21-0 in the Big 12 championship, and they're throwing touchdown passes to defensive linemen that come in on trick plays. Like, that was prime Texas. That was Sark absolutely in his bag. This year it hasn't really been that, and Ewers still put up pretty decent numbers, at least yardage-wise, against Georgia this past weekend. But there's something about relying on him in a big game, which I thought he had conquered those demons last year with the win against Alabama and then winning in the Big 12 championship, getting to the playoff. It seems though they have not. I can't trust Texas to blow Clemson out, even if I don't love Clemson that much. Their offense still leaves a little bit to be desired. I think Klubnik's a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. So I have my issues with Clemson, but I think my issues are way more with Texas and their ability to score the magnitude you would need to then cover a 10.5, potentially 11 by the time the game kicks off.
That win over SMU was arguably Denton Day. It's interesting because they spent 89% of the fourth quarter being anti-clutch, allowing SMU to put 17 up on them, and then spent the last 16 seconds of that game being as ice-cold clutch as we've seen Clemson be at any point this year. This is the fun thing for me. This team's 13 games deep into the season, and I don't really know whether the 3 quarters they dominated SMU is real, the fourth quarter where they fell apart against SMU is real, or the last 16 seconds where Cade Klubnik was a surgeon to put them in position to kick a walk-off field goal was real. I feel like if the team that played the first 3 quarters of that game goes to Texas, there's a chance that this is a close freaking football game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say the real version of Clemson is probably like a sweet spot, like right at the end of the third quarter, just a little bit into the fourth quarter, where they're a good football team, but they're not a dominating football team. I feel like that's the way that I viewed them this year. And then going up against Texas, all you have to do is give Cade Klubnik a couple of opportunities, and I do think he can take advantage of opportunities. I don't know that he can make opportunities the way that we've seen quarterbacks do in the past, but I think if you give up, if you leave a weakness, so to speak, if you let him get a seam when he's running the football, he's going to run away from you. So I do think there's a really good chance. Obviously, I've already bet on it. I think Clemson does keep that one close. That might be the only one of the weekend that is particularly close.
Talk to me about, there's a game I am kind of interested in. That is Indiana at Notre Dame and South Bend. Everybody's written off Indiana. Curt Cignetti says he wins. Just Google him. I'm intrigued by this game for one matchup reason, Denton Day. Notre Dame wants to run the ball. They don't want to put it on the arm of Riley Leonard unless they absolutely have to. Indiana, for all the weaknesses that team may or may not have, they got a pretty stout run defense, which matches up with the thing that Notre Dame wants to do the most. And in Marcus Freeman's second year, a guy who hadn't really been in a spot like this, not that Curt Cignetti has great experience outside of lower level football. I have a lot more intrigue in this matchup. Everybody's telling me Notre Dame's blowing Indiana out in round 1. I think there's a chance Indiana makes it interesting.
I think there's a chance they make it interesting in the first half. And then I think in the second half is where Notre Dame puts it away, where you just see the difference in the talent on the offensive line versus Indiana's defensive line and the ability they have to continue running the football. But I will tell you this. If you asked me this 2 days ago, I don't know that Marcus Freeman was on the list of coaches that are under immense pressure. There's one in particular that is very much under pressure, and then you can argue a second one. I think Marcus Freeman has now jumped that second coach due to the injury to Carson Beck. Notre Dame right now has a clear path to get to the national championship if Carson Beck is not going to be good to go. You get an Indiana team that's new here and is not talented enough to match up theoretically with Notre Dame. Now, they've done a great job. I have loved Indiana. Their culture has been fantastic in interviewing their players after games. They rave about it all the time. They have been a joy to watch, but talent-wise, you're better than them. And then you get Georgia, who is not going to have their starting quarterback. You should theoretically, with all of your guys healthy, be able to run over Georgia. Freeman is under an immense amount of pressure, and we've seen him in games kind of fumble things away a little bit. We saw it earlier this year with that Northern Illinois game. We saw it was last year with Marshall, right? Like, he finds ways to fumble games that Notre Dame should absolutely be shredding the opposition. So I think he's under a lot of pressure, but I think this is the year in 2024, the year of our Lord, that Marcus Freeman and the touchdown Jesus, they get at least one playoff win. I'll give him one. I
have been told, Denton Day, that if a team loses its starting quarterback going into the playoffs, it can't possibly be good. So we can go ahead and write that off. No, if Beck is down, the bottom half of that bracket, like I said a minute ago, kind of goes into chaos. We still got SMU and small game James up at Penn State. We haven't even addressed yet. And then there's Boise State waiting in the second round, which, like, Boise State's one of those teams. It's kind of like Mike Tyson. They got one punch they can throw at you, and you know if that punch hits you, you're in trouble. The problem is, I don't know how anybody, and I mean this, I think Ashton Janty, I don't know if he'd put up 195 or whatever it was a game if he was playing in a bigger conference. I do think 100-yard a game average would be on the table. This kid's very good. If Carson Beck is down, legit, it feels to me like Notre Dame would likely be the next favorite, but anybody out of the bottom half of that bracket could walk away into the finals.
I would agree with that. But you mentioned Mr. Franklin. That's the coach under the most amount of pressure, as far as I'm concerned. You lost to Ohio State this year. Fine, it happens. Clearly, Penn State does not care about that, because if they did, they would have fired him a long time ago, because he never beats them. You lose to Oregon in the Big Ten Championship, but at least you got to the Big Ten Championship. Oregon's best team in football, fine. Your next two games potentially are SMU and Boise State. You have to beat them. You know, it's one thing to argue about losing to a team like Oregon that has all of this money and all this talent. You can say the same thing for Ohio State. But if you are Penn State, you are in a different class than SMU, who just got to the Power 4 conference, and to Boise State, who is not in a Power 4 conference. If Penn State loses either one of those two games, I think Franklin right now is safe. I don't like just going around and firing everybody, but there are going to be some hard conversations had if they lose to SMU in the first round, or if they beat SMU and then drop to Boise State that really only has that one knockout punch in Ashton Jeanty. Now, they got a bunch of other good players, but it's Ashton Jeanty or bust. You stop him, you pretty much keep that offense completely nullified. If they don't beat those two teams, James Franklin is going to have a couple of tough conversations with some people with a lot of money in Happy Valley.
You say James Franklin's the coach under the most pressure. What about Ryan Day? He loses to Tennessee in round 1 after coming off of a loss to Michigan. Lonzo's already been telling me the folks up in Columbus, Ohio, were ready to separate from Ryan Day if he lost to Michigan for the, fourth time in a row. If he drops the opener to Tennessee at home to Nico and the Volunteers, is that hasta luego, see you tomorrow, Ryan Day?
Yeah, he is the guy that is third on my list. I think Marcus Freeman jumped him just a little bit because of the Carson Beck injury, but Ryan Day is third on my list of coaches under the most pressure, because you get Tennessee, and Tennessee's a good team. They have a big brand, but offensively, I feel like we did not get the offensive team that we were promised with Tennessee. And what's crazy is Ohio State's defense has very quietly been very, very good. this year. So if you get blown out or you allow a lot of points to a Tennessee team that maybe hasn't had a lot of success scoring this year, and then you do it at home, man, he's going to be coming to Thanksgiving next year. He won't be busy.
All right. Real quick, 10-second answer. National champion is
Oregon.
Oof. Just chalk for everybody today.
Yeah, I know. Chalk for everybody, but I like Oregon.
Not mad about it. Denton Day is the host of SiriusXM's College Football Overtime. Joins us on Wednesdays to talk a little college footy at this segment. My man, as always, good to have you, big dog. Appreciate it. Let's do it again next week. And next week, we're picking games, pal.
Hey, let's make some money next week.
I love it. I love it. At the Denton Day on X, maybe the most handsome man in radio. Denton Day. Appreciate you, fella. Talk to you next week.
All right, see you, boys.
Denton Day, legend, icon. Here comes another legend. Here comes another icon. Here comes Lonzo with a sports flash.
Here I is. The Carolina Hurricanes picked up win number 18 with a 3-2 victory over the San Jose Sharks last night. Carolina is now tied with the New Jersey Devils for second in the Metropolitan Division, 1 point behind Washington. College football transfer portal has officially opened, and already major names have entered. Mississippi State quarterback Michael Van Buren entered yesterday, joining former SMU starter Preston Stone, all ACC starting tackle Howard Sampson from North Carolina, and running back Antonio Martin Jr. from Southeastern Louisiana. Make sure you tune in this Saturday at 11:30 a.m. as Furman Paladins take on the South Carolina State Bulldogs. It's Furman versus South Carolina State, right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. Fan. Upstate. Come on. Finally. I know we have a week, but it'd be a good idea to drop Steph an email telling her what days you're off so you can get
Okay. Yep.
your lives.
I will do that.
There's a pause there that kills me. I'm fixing that.
Did you know Greenville County Animal Care has cats and dogs just waiting to find their forever family. When you adopt from Greenville County Animal Care, you're getting an animal who's been spayed or neutered, is microchipped, and is up to date on vaccinations. Most pets can be brought home the same
For
day
your
as dogs.
mobility and give you long-term relief with no downtime. The local medical
Adoption
prof-
specials can close your waves. As a service to veterans, all adoptions are free. Visit greenvillepets.org to learn more.
QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments.
T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text,
Your medicine. Call for a free consultation.
45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T.
Only options. Learn how.
5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk.
And it happens every day, Stephen.
$30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch. With AutoPay using debit or bank account, plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Nova. All benefits vary. Free phones up to $3 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line. For well-qualified customers, plus taxes and
If you're talking about the at of the song I played earlier, it's at There I Ruined It. And he has got some hilarious stuff. I will say a lot of it's very NSFW because he's a big fan of having classic singers sing super dirty rap songs, and it's very funny. Here we go. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the fan upstate, Rob Brown, and the great one, Lonzo, with you here on the show. The text line is open. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. You can call us on the renewal by Anderson to the Carolinas fan phone, 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. Text me at The Rob Brown Show. Text Zoe at Lonzo on Word. Text us all at The Fan Upstate. You can also get it at us at the Ray Memorial Hotline. Go to the Odyssey app. Go to the Fan Upstate page on the Odyssey app. And once you do, you will see on that page a button that says leave a voice message. You drop a 30 to 60 second voice message and we'll get it. We'll edit it. We'll get it together and we will play it on the show. There's all the different ways for you to get in touch with us here on the radio broadcast this morning. We have been talking about songs, AI in songs. I don't want or need an excuse.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny
Nose. And if
you ever saw it,
you would even say it. Nose. Come on, Lonzo, get in on this with us.
I love
The other reindeer used to laugh and call him names.
they never let Rudolph.
Find a different one with a different singer, and maybe I'll be down with it.
Christmas Eve. Oh,
Santa Decay. I didn't know where he was going there.
take me higher to a place where snowmen sing. Can you take me higher
To a place where sleigh bells ring. It's perfect. And the next thing I ask of AI is not to get the correct 12 teams into the college football playoff. It's to give me an entire generated Creed Sings Christmas album. You kidding me? You wouldn't throw that on in the hot rod cruising up and down the interstate and just feel like it is indeed the most wonderful time of the year.
I'd rather listen to a Rob Brown Christmas album.
I'd sing it like Scott Stapp.
All right, never mind.
That wasn't the only singing that took place yesterday on television. Chuck got into the act.
And now the end is near, so I face my final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear. Sing that thing. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived of life is full. Life is full. My God, gonna be there this year. Sing it. Every highway. But more. You can drive to Phoenix. More than this, I did it my way.
That's Chuck singing alongside Mike and the Martinis.
I'm glad they added his voice in later, trying to get Chuck on key. I mean, it just didn't. He just couldn't get.
I
there.
wish you the best with that.
Do you think he could really sing?
I don't think Chuck can talk in key. To be honest with you, I don't think Chuck could whisper on key.
I don't know. There's some things on TV that I've heard tell are not real, and he may have a killer singing voice.
I am so sad for you that you just live in this world where everything's fake.
What? Did I want to believe that he could really sing? Why is that sad?
Because you would lose that from Chuck. That's just A+ television is what that is. And also, Chuck.
I'm sorry I didn't see it because I'm sure
it's
he's
so good.
He's struggling.
He's with the live band.
Is he?
But he's reading the words off of karaoke.
Okay.
He's doing it bandioke style. It's phenomenal.
Okay.
I'll see if I can find the clip and send it to you. It's phenomenal. As we continue on the audio
did he
blitz,
do this because
I don't know why. I don't know the setup. I don't know where it came from.
Right.
I don't know if he lost a bet, which is what I assume. I don't know if he was trying to, because Chuck will do dumb things just to prove he can do the dumb thing. I don't know if he was trying to prove that he is a legendary performer or what it was. But I'm glad that we all got to share that moment together. Speaking of,
much better than the other moment. I mean, I could hear Chuck all day compared to the other thing.
I was going to do it again, but I gotta reset. I'm still recovering.
All the Bridge Rules, much better band.
There is a comedian on Instagram by the name of Bubba Williams, and Bubba does parody songs too. And I got to tell you, I'm just in a parody song mood right now. Speaking of having a moment, the Dallas Cowboys had a moment on Monday Night Football, had the game all but won. They block an LA Charger punt, which is seconds left to play. And all they have to do is not bleep it up. And you know what they did? They bleeped it up, which led to Bubba Williams feeling inspired to write a little ditty about the Cowboys.
Don't mean to kick 'em watered down, but they couldn't get the season turned around. And somehow Leon let down his way onto the field as the Bengals brought them down. Jumbotron in the sky, what is it done? And can the Cowboys get one of those or at least a hug? Michael walked off the field early, just left his guys. This may be the worst season of his life. Ooh, yeah. Well, All the Cowboys are afraid of winning, 'cause every time they try, they lose. Now the season is over and those trophies are getting older, and Jerry's getting older too.
That's just high art. That's just art. That's just poetry. That's wonderful work.
Other than Denton Day, the best thing that we've had on the show today was what we just all got to witness
I ain't mad at that
a few
at all.
moments ago. Yes, that was beautiful.
I ain't mad about that. Like at all.
Did you send that to Cole?
I did not. I should.
You should send that to Cole. I'm sure he would appreciate that.
I really should. There's frankly no reason that I haven't done that yet. To be honest with you, that's spectacular work. All right, now that we're all good, we're all loosey goosey, we're all having ourselves a good morning. We're all feeling the vibes so far. Lonzo, you ever had a coach that delivered a speech in the locker room that it just hit, like it just resonated? You heard it and he got done and you're like, hell yeah, I'm about to run through a brick wall. I could knock down Fort Knox right now if I wanted to.
It was on the bus, but yeah, for sure.
Give me, you don't have to perform the speech, but like, give me the gist of it.
That guy left us. He said things about us. I want you to go in and hurt them. I don't care if we win the game. You need to hurt them. And then they got hurt with like ambulances and stuff. This is a true story. It was the head coach walked off the bus. We had an assistant coach who left our football team, and then he got in the papers and stuff and said a bunch of stuff about our football team. And our coach was crying before he walked off the bus, our head coach. So the assistant coaches stayed on the bus. And I have never, goosebumps right now. I've never been so mad in my entire life. And, and we that's probably the most team we ever were was that night.
The most team we ever were. And I understand exactly what that means for the record. That's not mocking.
Lyndon McKinley may have won that night.
But we won.
But they were in pain.
Yeah.
They were in one
definition of you should have seen
one
the other
play.
guy.
There were like 6 or 7 of their guys just laying on the ground. It was it was brutal.
The reason I bring it up is because I just recently started in on in-season Hard Knocks this year, which I got to tell you, I think with the shift the last couple of years in Hard Knocks, right? Like we had, when Hard Knocks started, it was the brutal reality of football in the offseason. It was guys getting cut. It was guys getting hurt. It was locker room talk. You got everything. And then over the last couple of years, it's kind of shifted away from that. And it's kind of taken on a more, I don't want to say family-friendly tone, but it's definitely taken on a little bit more of a less brutality, less gore of the league kind of tone. Including this offseason Hard Knocks with the Giants and Mara, who decided that, yeah, you guys can film us for Hard Knocks, but no dirty language. We don't do that around here, which I, press X to doubt, as the meme goes. And I kind of think it got away from the true feeling of being behind the scenes in a real football locker room. That is until Browns assistant offensive line coach Roy Istvan was given his hype-up speech to the Browns O-lineman and quarterback Jameis Winston leading up to their Monday night game.
You sure? You triple and quadruple checked. And
I'm not exaggerating. I went through this clip 7 times this morning.
Okay. All right.
I'm 99.8% sure I got them all. What I will say is I was ready to run through a wall. You might want to, I'm pretty sure
I'm back here just in case.
Assistant offensive line coach Roy Isfan getting the Browns O lineman ready to go play in Denver.
Everybody wants to sack the quarterback. That's what the defense wants to do. We're going to take pride in protecting the quarterback. No one with the Chief. Nobody. Now, Chief, this is how you can help us. Get through your reads and get the ball out, right? You do a really good job with that. It's impressive. Set the protections the right way. When you got to flipper it, be on your okay? Whatever you say, we're going to do. I promise you. You guys back this up. You fight your asses off. We're not going to Denver to go skiing. We're going to win the game on Monday Night Football in front of the world. We're on Thursday Night Football last week. We balled out. We're going to Monday Night Football this week to ball the out. We are pros. This is what we do. This is our choice. This is our life. This is every minute of our day. Right now, lock it in. Go to Denver. Pitch a fit. Pitch a fit. 99's in the A gap. Him up.
I mean, let's go.
Did Quentin Tarantino direct this episode, or I mean, is that what happened?
That's just O-line bro being O-line bro. That's all that is. That is classic, vintage O-line bro being a O-line bro.
Yeah, this is let's play into the stereotype that linemen are just meatheads, and so we're going to talk this way.
No.
Thank you for proving the stereotype.
It's not a stereotype at all.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about him. He's proved stereo. Oh, yeah, there's definitely a stereotype out there for linemen, and he just proved that it must be true.
No, you're doing that thing where you say, oh, if you say curse words, you're dumb, which is not true. It is contextually not true. In fact, quite the opposite. Study after study have shown that's exactly opposite of being true.
Okay, I need like 3 to 5 sources.
But
but I'm just curious. I mean, the fact that you had to put in like 25 minutes of work bleeping.
I really did.
Was it really worth all that? I mean,
really did.
Because substance wise, the passion was there, but when every other word is bleeped out, you just lose something.
Not to me. I was ready to run through a damn wall. I was ready to light somebody up. I was ready. If he hits the A gap, you him up. I was like, yeah, I'll him up right now. Oh, I missed a beep. I'll him up right now, coach.
So who's chief? Was that Jameis Williams?
Jameis is in the locker room with him.
I'd rather hear Jameis's pregame speech than that guy.
Oh, there's a billion of them floating around, and they're all unintentionally hilarious. I mean, they get progressively more funny, and I can't tell if Jameis Winston is either the weirdest dude in the world or a comedy genius, but he's one or the other, and there's no in between. He's either the biggest dork in the NFL, or he is like Saturday Night Live needs him next because he's a comedic genius, and I honestly can't figure out which one it is. What I do know is that if I got the call tomorrow to go play football, I would go play for Roy Isfan right now. Oh, I was right. I just started it. I'm kind of getting through it episode by episode. I came across that little ditty, and I was like, God, give me a try it right now. Give me a try. Hey, I bet I could get in. Let me listen to that on rotation. I bet I could make a UFL team today. I bet I could go play DE in the UFL today. I'm ready to somebody up.
They're probably signing people off the street right now. You probably have a good shot. I mean, yeah.
That was incredible. That's an offensive line coach getting the boys absolutely bleeping ready. You got me ready, and this is true. I am Rob Brown, but not a member of the Browns. But I feel like I want to make the phone call today. Hey, coach, I will go out there and play for Chief right now. My name's on the team. I'm ready to go right now. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. And the fan upstate.
Names on the team. That was close.
According to the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts, studies have shown that well-educated people with a wide range of words at their disposal are better at producing curse words than those with less verbal fluency. This suggests the correlation between language ability and intelligence. In addition, swearing can also be associated with social intelligence, as it requires knowing when and where it's appropriate to use such language, similar to choosing the right outfit for a specific occasion. The examination also found an optimistic link between profanity and honesty. People who swear are perceived to be more honest in their expression of emotions, although it's essential to note that this does not imply that frequent use of profanity necessarily means higher ethical behavior. Swearing has been shown to improve tolerance toward pain. Studies show that people who swear while participating in physically demanding tasks exhibit more power and strength than those who use neutral language. Furthermore, cursing can reduce the perception of pain. For instance, individuals who swear while submerging their hands in icy water experience less discomfort and were able to keep their hands submerged for longer periods of time. Cursing initiates an emotional response that triggers a stress reaction.
I can't wait
leading to
anymore. I
a
gotta
pain
pee,
reduction.
dude. I'm trying to listen to all that. I'm trying to be respectful of your opinion, but I have to.
It's not an opinion. That's the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts.
Yeah, like anyone's ever heard of that school until now.
I have, obviously.
Obviously.
30 seconds, guys. Be right back.
Yes, he is still doing this.
Are you not? I'm very. Are you not intrigued by it?
Not really.
I'm fascinated by this now. I've been sent down an academic research tunnel that I was not prepared to go down this day. Yet here I am.
I know I'm a rebel. I understand I'm a nonconformist. I understand that I'm different. Okay, and that's fine. I'm different, and you know what? I can deal with being different. I'm not alone. I'm just different compared to the people
issue.
that you know.
Here's the issue. The issue is, though you may not intend it this way, when you say, "Oh, this guy is playing into the stereotype about meatheads," you frame it as you're better.
No,
and that's
here's
where I
the
draw
thing.
the line.
Here's the thing that I can do that you cannot do is I played offensive line at the collegiate level. So I'm speaking from one of those people. You are not one of those people. You've never played the sport, Rob.
Oh,
so
God.
How
God.
can you talk about it?
Oh, God.
I should have held it together. I was so close.
Here we go. According to the Journal of Social, Psychological, and Personality Science, these people effectively are an academic journal that study the way our brains work, both individually and within a social setting. They say that swearing is linked to a higher pain tolerance. They say that swearing is an indicator of honesty. That is to say, people who swear are usually more direct and accurate in messages that they deliver to other people, mainly because if you walk up to somebody and say, you, there's no question about your feeling or intent in that spot. They say that the purpose of swearing is to vent emotion, and that one of the benefits of swearing is that it is actually a stress relief mechanism, meaning that when you swear, your brain releases the chemicals that help you deal with stress, which is why we tend to scream obscenities when we are frustrated or in danger, et cetera, et cetera. They do say there are limitations to that, like anything else. If you swear frequently, then the stress release reaction caused by swearing is diminished. It's kind of like building up a tolerance like you would to medication. If you take a medication for a long time and you're taking it at 20 milligrams, eventually your doctor's going to up that to 30 or 40 milligrams because you have built up a tolerance to that. The same is true about cursing, but according to this study, there is a noticeable and empirical connection between societal, not compliance, that's not the word I'm looking for, societal intellect, that is your ability to participate within large groups of people, and your desire to participate with large groups of people. They also say that there is a connection between introvertedness and the lack of utilizing obscenities. The less you cuss, the less likely it is that you interact with large groups of people with any regularity. But pain tolerance, stress management, and societal honesty are three things that are predictable based on the number of explicit words that a person utilizes.
So I am not societally honest, apparently.
I'm just reading you the results. I didn't do the study. This is from the 2020 report from the Archives of Physiotherapy submitted by the whatever that organization was that I just read a second ago.
I'm sure there was a government grant to go, you know what? Let's find out why people cuss.
See, here's the thing. That stuff is super fascinating to me. It's super fascinating to me, the fact that we have developed a mechanism that unless you overtax it and you get eventually diminishing returns, we have developed a mechanism by which we can say a word and it equips your body to deal with stress better.
All right, this sounds like the people who did this study and you are trying to justify potty mouths. I mean, do what you want to do. Go ahead. Do it right now if you want.
I don't need to justify it.
Well,
I'm just going to do it.
Do just because.
Okay, I'll do it right now. Damn it.
And by the way, I've told you the root reason why it bothers me. You're one of the few
for
people
sure.
who know why.
For sure. And I understand it so that we're clear, which is why I have A, never judged, and B, I limit it when around you. If it's just you in the office, I don't really cuss around you when it's just you and me. Now, if other people get added to the mix, sure, it is still limited to compare how I talk when I'm at the bar with the boys on a Wednesday night knocking back some rum and Sprites. That's a different world. Out of respect. The issue I bump into is when I do that, and then here's my dog giving this motivational speech to a room full of dogs, and you're like, oh, what a meathead idiot. That's where it's like, okay, now you're judging us.
What did I say? I said he plays into the stereotype.
Right, and the
I didn't call him an idiot. I said he played into the stereotype. You added idiot. I did not. So you're trying to make it sound like I did that, and I did not do that.
Okay, so is the
as someone who's been in the room
is the stereotype
with lineman coaches and know how they talk?
Then is the stereotype unfair and unacceptable? Is the stereotype that you just acknowledged is real? Is it fair?
Yes.
There you go. That's judgment.
But
that's judgment.
It's fair because he just proved it, and I've been in rooms and I know how they talk. So whenever someone, all dumb linemen, when that comes up, and then you point out, oh no, linemen are very intelligent.
They absolutely
You're
are.
going against the stereotype, and you're going against the norm. You're going against the common belief that is linemen are big dumb meatheads.
I didn't ask if the stereotype exists. I asked you, is it fair? Is it a fair stereotype?
For the most part, a lot of stereotypes are fair because they are rooted in some sort of truth.
So
they may
this
not be
is-
an exact truth, but there's enough truth there for people to go, oh, yeah, I see that.
So this is me pushing back against the stereotype that if an offensive line coach says, if 99's in the A gap, you light his ass up. That's a bad stereotype that we should be actively working to dismantle. That's my whole take on it. That's how I come across it. And I'm just saying, science is on my side now. Yeah, science.
Yeah, I still think you're wrong. So, I mean, in the end, even that science is not an exact science. It's an opinion. And in my opinion, it's wrong.
It's not.
It's definitely an opinion.
It is not an opinion. It is a hypothesis in the world of science that is now backed up by multiple studies showing empirical data. What you are saying is a feeling. You feel as if that is that way. I'm saying here's a bunch of nerds in lab coats that actually ran the test down to the chemicals in your brain to figure out what's actually happening.
All right, to me,
this is why I defend
some
that.
people got on these guys because they were cursing, and they're like, well, we'll prove that it's okay and we're smarter for doing it. And they went and got a grant and got money and went out and did the thing, talked to the people that they knew that cursed all the time, and did the study and all this kind of stuff to build themselves up to go say, see, we were right, which is what you're doing. See, I was right. That's what you say.
You just made up a story in your head as to why this is bad.
No, I had a hypothesis.
Right. What's your backing evidentiary data?
What's yours?
I just read it to you.
Okay.
Literally the study.
No.
Like literally a documented academic study.
Like you have heard of these people before you started researching.
Well, I haven't done a ton of research into physiotherapy.
So this is a trusted source of all things physiotherapy.
No, but if it is a published academic study that is backed by the Marist College and others, yes, I trust them more than Lonzo.
This is something that you're trying to prove a point, and it's not going to change my mind.
Oh, I know that.
And it's not going to change your mind. And again, I'm different. I'm okay with being different, and different is okay. So you may look in the mirror and go, hey, I don't fit in this morning because I don't do this thing that other people do. That's okay. You be you. Don't let other people try to make you feel bad because you don't do what they do. You be you. Be different. Be a rebel. Be whatever. Don't conform to things like this.
Offensive
because I'm
lineman,
not going to.
If you want to say when 99 comes through the A gap, I'm going to light him up, then scream it loudly and proudly, boys, because it is a stress reliever.
Rob, obviously the man, and don't let the man bring you down. That's all I'm saying.
Apparently I am the man. We're out here rigging the system to make a point. I mean, it is what it is. All right, we got a lot more we got to get to. Actual sports coverage. Sorry, Ghost of Ray. We'll get to some sports when we come back here in just a minute. Mark Bonetti, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joins us next to get you set up for the Swamp Rabbits weekend series. They'll be back at the crib coming up this weekend. They're on the road at Jacksonville tonight. Mark Bonetti joins us live from the Butthole of America next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, we got to step away for just a minute to get Bonetti lined up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. The three-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year, The Rob Brown Show, continues right here on the Fan Upstate. Rob and Lonzo and you.
Where's the horn?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I got all my sounds back, and no, that's not the right one. That's not the one I want. Listen, it's our hockey segment. All right, it's our hockey segment. We had to add the goal horn to the roster.
There we go. You were called to the ice, so to speak.
I was,
and yeah, so you've got to have that going on, dude.
Lordo was on my ass about not having a goal horn, but now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a goal horn. And we have a goal horn because joining us now on the program is a gentleman who deserves a goal horn when he makes his appearance on the show. He is the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. He is the mouth of the team. Mark Bonetti joins us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate, live from the butthole of America, Jacksonville, Florida. Mark B, I'm so sorry, bud. Like they couldn't hook you up to do this game remote, so you didn't have to go down there?
I prefer actually seeing the game in person, but so because of that, I will put up with the stench of fecal matter around me. It's just, listen, we're all doing the best that we can here.
I get it. I assume that you are currently, as you should be, locked inside of a hotel room until the last absolute possible minute to go to the arena, and that when it's over, you'll be on the bus to get the hell out of there, like, immediately.
Do you have a camera in my room right now? Because that's exactly what's going on right now.
I imagine so. Mark Bonetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Let's dive right in. My guy, the Bits down on the road in Jayville, getting set to take on the Icemen before they return to the crib this weekend for not just a hockey game on Saturday night, but one of my favorite events of the year. And we will talk about Teddy Bear Toss coming up here in just a little while. But just give me your overall thoughts on kind of where the team is right now, Mark Bonetti.
Well, the team had a really tough 3-game weekend last weekend. Tough loss on Friday and over in a shootout against Orlando, which Orlando just seems to have our number when it comes to post-regulation play, even dating back to the playoffs. The Swamp Rabbits have lost 5 in a row with games that have gone past 60 minutes head-to-head against Orlando. But still, that's a key point that if you don't get that now, it could probably play a factor somewhere down the road. Saturday against Atlanta, the home game, every time you play against Atlanta, it's a 12-round prize fight. And they happened to counterpunch one more time than the Swamp Rabbits did. I think losing out on 2 goals under review didn't really help on the entire weekend as a whole, but it was what it was. You lose 1-0. It's the absolute narrowest of margins, but then you go right back to Atlanta, down 1-0 again for seemingly 40, 50 minutes of hockey. You haven't scored in 5 periods. You're gripping your stick tight, but then all of a sudden you get a deflection in front from Austin Saint. 2 seconds later, Quinn Olson's got a screamer on the power play, and then Jake Flynn just buzzes up the wall, and with 3 minutes to go, you've got the game winner. And so it just showcased the resiliency of this team. They're a lively bunch. They're a team that grinds it out, and they're going to have to do exactly that again against Jacksonville.
We are talking to Mark Bonetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. And, you talk about that 2-game set back-to-back Saturday and Sunday against Atlanta. You now go take on a Jacksonville team that you haven't seen here in a couple of weeks. The last time out against Jacksonville, I think, was back towards the end somewhere of November. It's kind of interesting, Bonetti, because on one hand, you have some familiarity with these teams in the Southern Division because you're kind of rotating through them. But on the flip side, there's no guarantee that, the Jacksonville team you play back on the 27th, 28th is the same Jacksonville team that you're going to play on the 11th. They, like the Bits, have teams that get called up, players that get sent back down, etc. So what are we expecting out of the Jacksonville Icemen we play tonight? What are you expecting out of this matchup on the road tonight?
Well, Jacksonville is locked down at home, 8-3-1 in 12 games on home ice here at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. This is always a tough go, always a tough building to play. They grind it out. Their head coach is is the kind of guy that back in his NHL career, he was a grinder. He fought, he penalty killed, he took big draws, and so the team emulates him, and they're very, very tough, especially in this building. The Swamp Rabbits, the very first game they played against each other head-to-head, November 24th, didn't look like Jacksonville even showed up. It was a 5-0 shutout win for the Swamp Rabbits. Dryden McKay had 41 saves. It was not even remotely close. Jacksonville also coming off the back end of a 3-3, so with the Swamp Rabbits. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you could say about what went into that game, but just Jacksonville wasn't ready. Then you go into their building. Swamp Rabbits face adversity the night before against South Carolina, lose 5-2. And then within 90 seconds of the game, Chris Grando scores. They're off and running. They win 4-1. It's a team that they really like to strike first. They like to punch in the jaw first. And if they can get that first goal, they're just going to run. And, for the Swamp Rabbits right now, they found some great confidence in scoring with a 3-goal outburst in the third period. They needed that on Sunday to beat Atlanta. They did it in every way, too, with 5-on-5 and with, like I said, a screamer of a power play goal from Quinn Olson. So, if the Swamp Rabbits can try and counterpunch and match that energy with 2 days to rest before the Teddy Bear toss, they're going to be fine tonight.
Talk to me about the fellas between the pipes, because McKay was on an absolute heater, but then welcome to lower level professional hockey. Jacob Ingham gets sent back down from Ontario, ends up in a shootout in his first game back. Unfortunately, doesn't go its way. I know he was obviously very frustrated, broke his stick against the pipes after the L in that one. But again, hadn't played hockey in a minute, certainly hadn't played in Greenville in a minute, going to take some time to get back up and down. I guess I'm kind of asking here, is Kyle Mountain in a spot where he's got a wealth of riches between two guys that we know are both more than capable of being successful? And what's the rotation between the two main netminders going to look like?
Yeah, he certainly does, because, Dryden McKay has been the workhorse of this team. Obviously, Jacob Ingham's been up top in Ontario for quite some time. He played 2 games with the Reign over 2 call-ups over the course of basically a total month of hockey. And so while he was gone, Dryden had to take that onus in between the pipes. He is absolutely incredible. He's a warrior. He's a gamer. And all the proof that I needed was November 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Dryden McKay starts a 3-3 in 2 different spots and wins all 3 games, including the anchor game was the shutout against Jacksonville. The guy's a nail gun. He just shows up. He competes. Jacob Ingham, too, there's something different about him this year in all the good ways. And it's not to say that last year he didn't have that. He certainly did, and rightfully so. He earned a National Hockey League contract by the end of the year from Los Angeles. But there's something different about his game this year, and I think it's his maturity. Having another year under his belt, having all the experience that he does. You got to remember, for Jacob Ingham, 2 years ago, he basically sat out the entire year after a surgery to correct an injury. And for a goaltender to sit out a whole year and come back, that's not an easy thing. And not only did he just come back last year, but he had a career season with 17 wins in the ECHL ranks, went 17, 10, and 3. So I think the rotation is primarily between the two of them. But then you also can't sleep on the fact that Colby Hay has been a consummate teammate, has been a consummate pro, somebody who, when his number has been called, the rare times that it has been, he's been ready to go. Made his pro debut in relief. He's played twice in relief. And this is somebody who's been chomping at the bit, ready to go. And, God forbid one of the other 2 guys goes down or gets called up or whatnot. Number 31's ready to go too. So you certainly have a wealth of riches in between the pipes. You've got 2 guys in Dryden McKay and Jacob Ingham on AHL contracts that can do the job. But then when number 31's ready to go, Colby Hay can do it too.
Talking to Mark Benetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. The Bits on the road tonight down in Jacksonville, Florida, to take on the Icemen and hopefully win that game 972-0. But, Mark Benetti, we got to turn our attention towards the weekend, and I want to talk about the games upcoming just a little bit. But Saturday night, one of my favorite events. It's an event I've been fortunate to be a part of the last 3 years running. I look forward to participating again this year. It is the Teddy Bear Toss. For the folks who maybe aren't as familiar with hockey and what this tradition is within the world of hockey, Benetti, tell folks how kind of what the Teddy Bear Toss is and how it works.
To your point, it is the absolute most fun game of the year. I don't care what anybody says. This is this is the game I have circled on the calendar ever since I turned professional back in 2013. This is the coolest game ever. You know, I'm working on a future story for the website about the teddy bear toss, not just ours, but just kind of giving a glance at how this game came to be. The Kamloops Blazers and the Western Hockey League are actually credited with the first ever teddy bear toss in 1993, December 5th. They were the first ones to do it. And simply put, when the Swamp Rabbits score their first goal of the game, you bring a stuffed animal to the game and you toss it onto the ice. And those stuffed animals get donated to charitable organizations. They get donated to children in need throughout the upstate community, personally for the Swamp Rabbits and whatnot. We have a lofty goal of 10,000 bears. We've never hit 5 digits with bears before. And so the way I see it, the 15th annual teddy bear toss presented by Swamp Rabbit Moving, this is the one to do it for. And it's so cool. You know, I actually, last week, I researched the previous 14 teddy bear tosses, somehow managed to track down all 13 teddy bear goal scorers. Well, technically 12. One guy did it twice. He's the only guy to do it twice, which even then is a feat in itself. But to see some of the different discrepancies with how the goal's been scored, when it's been scored, forwards, defensemen, if it's your first pro goal, if it's the only goal you're scoring the year, which has happened like only twice out of the 13 of them, it's pretty wild. You know, this is a goal that if you score it, you're on top of the world, and you can pretty much retire a happy man at that point because you scored one of the more impactful goals of the year. Not even just because of what it represents in the game itself, but also at the same time what it does for the community too. So, absolute most fun game of the year. Bring a stuffed animal, bring 5 of them, and when the Swamp Rabbits score, get ready to throw it out on the ice.
Yeah, it's the first goal of the Swamp Rabbits gets an avalanche of toys, and they literally have to back up moving trucks to the rink to fill those things up. And the best part is, as Benetti just mentioned a second ago, all of those toys end up going into the hands of kids who maybe are a little bit underprivileged around the upstate. So it's a fantastic hockey tradition. It's one that I will be once again proud to be a part of. And also just one of those awesome things that happens in the world of sports. Set people up for the weekend upcoming. That this game Saturday night, taking on once again the Atlanta Gladiators, a team that we would love to get one back. I know we knocked them down 3-2 on the road Monday, but obviously last time Atlanta was in the crib exactly 1 week ago per Saturday's drop at 7:05 p.m. Atlanta walked out with a 1-0 win in that one. Atlanta followed by another tryst with the Solar Bears on Sunday. Benetti, give us a little quick preview of the weekend games on the ice.
Well, there's never a day off in the South Division. Tonight proves that against Jacksonville. Saturday against Atlanta. Sunday against Orlando is certainly going to prove that again. You know, every night, I said it earlier about Atlanta, but quite honestly with the division, every night is a 12-round prize fight. And, you know, that's what happens when you play in the best division in the league. I remember back in my earlier days with Rapid City, the Rush and the Mountain Division, that was the toughest division. But the power has now shifted to the South Division here with the likes of all 7 teams. It's very deep. And so when you look at a team like Atlanta, you know, they're very direct. They charge the net. They're good in the net front. They're great in the middle of the ice. And they'll beat you to a pulp trying to get there. Likewise, they will take a beating to get to those high percentage scoring areas. Orlando is a mix of all 5 players on the ice at any given point can skate. All 5 of them can penalty kill. All 5 of them can block shots. All 5 of them can hit. But then every now and then one guy can just find that one goal you need to squeak it over the line, and that's it. And so, you know, I mean, you look back to some of the last couple of matchups against both of these teams. They're 1-goal games. The game winner's in the 3rd period. Penalty kill is huge. Special teams is huge. Goaltending is elite. And that's what you're going to get again. Atlanta's going to come in with a chip because they lost 3-2. They also have that 1-0 win under their belts. But they realize it's the teddy bear toss. Their whole team's already talked about it. And there's a great sense and pride in trying to prevent the team from scoring the teddy bear goals. So Atlanta's going to come ready to rock and roll on Saturday night. And it's up to the Swamp Rabbits team to negate that hatred, if you will. And then Sunday, again, you know, you're looking at an Orlando team that has won 5 in a row past 60 minutes because that's just how these games go against the Solar Bears. They just go past 60 minutes. They go to overtime. They go to the shootout. And so they're looking for a more complete win, especially after a roster shakeup. Last weekend before Friday's game against the Solar Bears that ended in the shootout loss, Orlando had about 5 or 6 different transactions, shipped out a lot of guys, brought in a lot of new blood. The team was 3 games under 500 at the time, and they needed to change things up. And so that's a hell of a shot across the bow. They certainly rose to the challenge. They've done pretty well for themselves since then. So they're going to want to keep that train rolling in the right direction. So we're in for it this weekend, but that makes the hockey that much more fun.
The mouth of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, Mark Benetti, joining us from a secure bunker in the worst city in America, Jacksonville, Florida, to break down a little Rabbit hockey. The boys on the road down at the Icemen tonight, 7:05. They'll return to the Well this Saturday evening at 7:05 for the Teddy Bear Toss, one of my favorite events in all of sports. Mark, I have one piece of advice for you as you spend the evening in Jacksonville, Florida, and that advice is leave as soon as possible. Just figure it out, bud.
I'm also washing my hands at every moment that I get. So, we're doing the best that we can here. It's a tough hand to be dealt, but listen, we're all trying.
It's all we can do. Mark Benetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. My man, safe travels. We will see you back at the Well on Saturday, bud.
Yes, sir. You know it.
You got it. Mark Benetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits here on the Rob Brown Show. We talk Rabbit hockey every Wednesday at 8:40 a.m. And at the end of that segment, every Wednesday and Mondays and Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, Lonzo reads the Sports Flash.
Like clockwork and stuff. The New York Yankees missed out on Juan Soto, but signed the next biggest name in the MLB free agency list, agreeing to an 8-year, $218 million deal with former Atlanta Braves starter Max Fried yesterday. The deal is just the 12th $100 million contract awarded by New York. Days after Dow Loggins, not Kenny Loggins, departed South Carolina to become the head coach at Appalachian State, Shane Beamer has filled the offensive coordinator role with former Alabama coach Mike Shula. According to ESPN, Shula was credited with playing a role in the development of Lenore Sellers, who's pretty good. If you haven't seen him, you should. Tune in this Saturday at 11:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the South Carolina State Bulldogs. It's Furman versus South Carolina State right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. A fan, upstate. Wow, just bad. It's not good. It's not bad. Timing today that's the best one of the three, but still, this is not. I don't know. Or cadence. That's what we're going to go with. Yay, no rain tomorrow. But it's going to be down 29 degrees. No rain Friday. No rain Saturday.
No rain Saturday?
Yeah. This app is not always the most accurate. This is for Greenville, by the way. And then Sunday, 80% chance of rain.
Golf on Saturday. Maybe a little golf on Saturday.
High of 52. That shouldn't be too bad for you.
I can golf with the 50s.
You can rock your quarter zip. Still have your flexibility.
Big QZ guy on the golf course. Big QZ guy in real life.
Now, if you would just grow a Peyton Manning forehead, you could be twinsies.
Break out the blue QZ. I got a blue QZ. Here we go. The final hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. He is the great one, Lonzo. We are glad to be with you here on a fabulous. It's not fabulous. It's great. Well, I assume it's gross outside. I can't see outside.
Well, we've learned that certain kinds of rain are fine, but misty rain, we can't see.
It sticks to our faces.
There could be bombs dropping outside the window right now. We would not know until we felt them.
It's dramatic, but I like it. We have a lot more that we need to get to on the radio broadcast today. And if you want to be a part of the show, you can do it. The Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone is right there for you at 844-326-3663. You can text us 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. Texter says, sorry. UNC Chris texts the show. He said, Lonzo, Rob yells enough. Stop poking him. My ears can't handle another surgery. LOL, UNC Chris, which I responded to another question mark. And he responded, yes. The first one was required in response to hearing that the Panthers were favorites for the first time in 2 years this week. And that, my dear friends, is correct.
I just want to say that if you don't want any poking, go to NPR.
The Carolina Panthers are favorites for the first time in nearly 2 years this weekend as they take on the Dallas Cowboys at home in Bank of America Stadium. That game, of course, taking place on Sunday. Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers nearly knocking off the Philadelphia Eagles last Sunday at home. They will take it back to the house this weekend and try to get back to winning ways. As of my last check of the line, the Dallas Cowboys, 2.5-point underdogs on the road at the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers, of course, favored by 2.5, meaning that with the home field advantage factors in, they consider the 5-8 Cowboys and the 3-10 Panthers on the same page in terms of talent and execution.
Is that what you want? I mean, because you know, that's not exactly exciting, but well done. Though, by the way, your NPR voice still is amazing.
The Cats are favored over the boys this weekend, people.
I hope people didn't adjust their volume and turn it down right. just for you to bring it back up.
My bad! Carolina favored by 2.5 at the crib on top of the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys melted down, dude. Like a meltdown in Monday Night Football. So this does not shock me all that much, if we're being honest.
I am curious because both of these teams have been close a few times and don't know how to finish. Someone's going to have to finish this game. It could be a tie. We know that's possible. But someone's going to have to finish this. Someone is going to have to sustain a drive and actually score winning points between the two, more than likely.
I still think that you are underselling the performance of the past 5 weeks to the Carolina Panthers. I really do. I think you're underappreciating what they've
close
done.
Close for me. Win a game. Close for me. You do. There is definitely marked improvement during the game, but in the fourth quarter when it matters the most, Feet are getting happy. Mistakes are being made. Learn how to take that next step, and then I will be extremely happy.
If you want to bust the guy up for last week, the only one you can bust up is Xavier Legette.
Oh, he got busted up. That's why he couldn't catch the ball.
Again, the haterade flows strong through the great one.
Oh, dude, he got hit so hard.
I'm not saying he did.
Have you went back and looked at that hit? I mean,
I've watched the game twice.
That's the kind of hit that would make someone, who's very manly cry.
You can't be out there. That's all it comes down to.
You're missing my point.
Linebackers don't get to say, I got the crap knocked out of me. Sorry, I missed the tackle.
I believe he was hurt. I don't think he should have still been out there is what I'm saying.
Okay, that's fine. Then he needs to not be out there.
Right.
But what you can't do is say that they didn't put themselves in a position to win. They absolutely did. That game could have, should have, would have been won. And if you are correct and XL was hurt in that moment, then somebody, either him saying, Coach, I'm banged up, I can't go, or somebody needs to recognize it and say, you're banged up, you can't go. But that ball has to be caught and that game has to be won.
This doesn't change my point that one of these teams has to finish Sunday. And they haven't been doing that. I mean, Dallas hasn't been totally getting blown out, have they?
Not totally blown out, but they have it 5-8. Now, here's the thing.
If I had to bet money on this game Sunday, I would definitely go with the Panthers.
I would not. I would go with Dallas. And the only reason why is they are better on the road than they are at home. And I do think that's getting lost in translation. They have one home win. At home, they are surrendering almost 42 points per game. Now, that number did come down a little bit because the Bengals only got to 27. But they gave up 20 to the Giants at the crib. Past that, at home, 34 to the Texans, 34 to the Eagles. At home, they gave up 47 to the Lions, 28 to the Ravens, and 44 to New Orleans. To the Saints. They're better on the road. On the road, this team is, I believe, 4-2 off the top of my head. If I'm doing that math right, they are 4-2 away from the crib. They play a little bit better ball. Here's what I genuinely get concerned about. After the way that they lost that game on Monday night, because what we can't do is pretend like that game was lost because they got ran out of the building. The game was lost because one guy had maybe the biggest brain fart of the 2024 NFL season. That game was lost solely because one guy tried to field a blocked punt off the ground instead of just letting it go. Like, I understand it. You got a chance to play hero ball. But here's the thing. If he can't in that moment, as a guy who just got signed to the roster, as a guy who's trying to earn and maintain a roster spot, if he doesn't know that spot, then he's not the guy. You can't make that mistake in that spot. If he grabs that and he takes it 27 back to the house and puts up 6 on the board, he's celebrated as a conquering hero in that moment. But keep in mind, that game was tied at 20 apiece in that moment. He doesn't touch that ball. They are already 20 yards inside of Aubrey's field goal range. That dude's hitting 60-yarders with regularity. They are 20 yards inside his range if he just doesn't touch that football. If he takes it back to the crib, and this is the other part, this is the thing that really drives me nuts about what he did. If he takes that ball back to the crib and he puts 6 and the XP up on the board and they go up 27-20, Joe Burrow and the Bengals still have, like a minute 47 to go win the game. Like, don't do anything. You're already in field goal range. All you got to do is get a first down, make the Bengals burn up the timeouts, run the clock down to 1, and kick the field goal and get out of there with a dub. One guy who is a fringe NFL roster player had the biggest brain fart of 2024. Here's what I can't have the Panthers do. And I don't think they will. I will give Dave Canales credit for one thing above all else. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday. I freaking love the mentality of this team right now, dude. Like, I love the mentality of this team. I am a big fan of the mentality of this team. We talked yesterday, and Lonzo laughed at it a little bit. But we talked yesterday about the speech that Bryce Young apparently gave after the loss a couple of weeks ago. And a lot of the players have come out and said about it. J.C. Horn clarified a little bit.
I wouldn't say I was surprised. I was just like kind of happy, like finally, you know, he stepped up, you know, just showed leadership and really just being the guy we all knew he was. You know, like I said, it's a lot being the number one pick, you know, going through the ups and downs. Nobody's career is just, you know, perfect. So he playing ball and I'm proud of him, and I'm just happy to see him take control of the team.
Xavier said he changed his voice and everything.
He said he started talking deeper.
That's what he said. He changed his voice. I don't know.
I don't know if I noticed that. I just know he used a lot more profanity probably than I ever heard come from him. But it was good because it got the guys going. You know, obviously everybody talking about it. So hopefully we can come out here and rally off this team.
So there you have it. Meathead, dumb guy Bryce Young said the potty mouth words.
There's a funny part. You made it sound like it, and that I was laughing over the speech, which neither one of us have heard the speech. I was laughing on the fact that they said he changed his voice. His voice got deeper for it. And you thought it was funny too. So don't put that on me, because we both are trying to picture him up there trying to go all Barry White. Come on.
Okay. So the speech clearly had some sort of impact. J.C. Horns talked about it. Xavier Legette's talked about it. Some of the guys on the other side of the football, on the defense, I think Shaq had something to say about it. It clearly resonated with some of these dudes. Like, it clearly resonated with some of these dudes. And I find that positive, because it makes it sound like Bryce Young actually gives a. And that to me is the hallmark of all of this, is that this team gives a. And I think that needs to be kind of the dial in here, right? Like this is a team that when they got to where they got and things were not going great, they could have looked around the locker room and said,
"What the fudge, guys?"
But they didn't. Instead, Bryce Young stood in front of the locker room and with his chest said, look, here's the deal. And the whole change in the voice thing, yes, it's funny. It's funny that Bryce Young, who notoriously does not have a Barry White voice, would have gotten up there and dropped the voice. But again, if we're keeping it a buck with each other, we all do that. We all do that. We all have our moments. I do it on this show segment by segment. There are segments that I am very upset about, and I drop the voice and I quiet down because I need the impact to be understood. And then there's ones where I'm like, hey, I'm going to play the Creed Rudolph song again in a minute, and you're all going to love it.
And then there are ones where you're doing it and you don't know that you're doing it.
Sure.
So I don't think he used the same voice throughout the show for an entire show. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
I don't use the same voice to get through a single segment. Are you kidding me? Like, but that to me that's the beauty of I mean, I guess technically,
but you also are not 5'10" and suddenly using a deeper voice. That's what makes it funny.
But I'm also not the voice who should talk like this, and sometimes I do, because how you make a point, how you say what you say. This is something I used to get in a fight with my dad about all the time. How you make a point is often as impactful as the point that you made. If you have a guy who doesn't show up to work 2 or 3 days in a row and he walks in and you're like, I need you to show up to work tomorrow, that's not going to deliver the message the way as it would if you said, hey, sit down. If you don't show your ass up tomorrow, you are fired immediately. Do you understand me? How you deliver a message is sometimes more important than the message that is being delivered. The intonation is how the intention is delivered via the message. So BY, I'm going to regret saying this, standing on a soapbox to deliver that message to the team, and doing so, saying it with his chest.
Might have been more than one soapbox.
I was going to make a joke about standing on phone books, but I decided that was going to be too much.
Shall I get you a box?
All of that being said, it clearly is working. And I think you've got to give some credit to Dave Canales, because early in the season, when the team was on an early L streak and things weren't going great, Canales said repeatedly on the microphone, doing the exact opposite of what Frank Reich and Matt Rule ever did as two failed head coaches. Canales got up there and said, we don't care. We're coming to fight. We're coming to win. We're coming to be the most competitive football team you can be. And even I was sitting there at the time like, why? Why? You should stop. You should lose every game. Tanking makes sense, but we also know that NFL teams don't tank. There are 10 teams in the league right now that should be tanking. 10 teams in the league at minimum that should be trying to lose, but they don't, or at least not intentionally. The Panthers are a spot right now, are a squad right now, I should say. The Panthers are a squad right now that are showing me that they've got stones, that they give a crap. And that's what I need. And the fact that not only is Bryce Young taking over as the guy that has J.C. Horn, arguably, and I made this point yesterday, arguably the guy I think, if he can stay healthy, could be the next Luke Kuechly. And I'm not talking about in the way he plays football. I'm talking about in the way he is a leader of that defense. Could be that Luke Kuechly voice on defense, that Steve Smith Jr. voice that Carolina has not had in a number of years. J.C. Horn, I think, is the guy on defense. Him and Shaq Barrett are the two guys most set up to be that guy. And he just grabbed a mic this week and said, yo, BY kind of got that dog in him a little bit, and we are now lined up behind that guy. Dave Canales deserves a hell of a lot of credit because this team has got a good, strong, solid mentality, and they're playing with guts. That's why they're favored over the Cowboys this week.
Bryce Young, he's got moxie.
He's got spunk. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate, babe.
Hit it. I nailed it. And it didn't work. Oh, oh well.
Give me 30 seconds, guys. Be right back. Let's row this ship into the shore. Throw away the oars forever. Ba-ba-bow. Oh.
Come on, man. You can nap later.
Dude, I'm fighting for my life right now. The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Up State. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Robin the Great with Lonzo here. See? Sometimes you got to drop the bass down low to make a
I
point.
couldn't find it earlier, so I just want to make sure it still works.
Sometimes you got to drop the bass down low to make a gosh darn point.
See, that doesn't work here. The boss already has such bass in his voice, and it's already so low. It's when he reaches adds a few dBs on there, you're in trouble. I don't think you've actually experienced that.
You just sit at home in your grandma's basement.
No, that's not the clip I wanted.
Yeah,
Dadgummit. I gotta remake my whole freaking soundboard, dude. Do you know how frustrating that is?
Wow,
I know.
work, man. Who wants to do that? Maybe we can get an intern in here to organize your soundboard.
Oh no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
Oh, what's wait a minute. What's this one?
Tell you the truth, this guy's starting to get on my nerves.
Oh, that's a classic. I forgot I had that in there.
Richard Lewis.
Yeah.
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
We don't want to cover. Where does Robin Hood Men in Tights rank on Mel Brooks' power rankings?
I have a mole.
Unlike other Robin Hoods, I can speak
The
with a British accent.
The problem is with the sheriff of Rottingham, you can't really quote him. It's so hard to do. How did he turn everything backwards? I guess you got to memorize that.
Nerves.
I was this close. I touched it.
I said that it ranks way up towards the top of Mel Brooks movies. Cody Decker said it ranks down towards like the middle/bottom.
Yeah, I would say maybe top 5. Definitely top 5. Maybe top 3 for me.
I'm in the same boat.
I got Blazing Saddles.
Dex said it's so. It has such a specific 90s vibes to it that it's like, he's like, that movie more than other ones is kind of encapsulated in time.
All right, I think I've decided it's my number 3. So
3?
I put it above.
Can I take top
Spaceballs.
2? I agree, and I love
Yeah.
Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Your top 2 are Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein.
Yeah. Yeah.
In that order?
Yeah.
That's fair.
And then Men in Tights.
I'm good with that. I think it checks in. For me, it checks in, I think, 5. And I say that like 5's, like that's a hard power ranked 5. I'll tell you one that's in there that I don't think he gets enough credit for. The Producers deserves to be in the top 5. I love I adore The Producers.
I put History of the World in my top 5.
History of the World, and I'll let you have parts 1 and 2. And 3. There's a 3.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one. But Gregory Hines was excellent in it, and just the in credit, after credit thing, Jews Out in Space, was amazing. I don't know if you remember that part, but that was pretty good.
I'm gonna say Men in Tights is gonna check in. I'm gonna say it for sure falls in behind perhaps my most quoted movie of all time, Blazing Saddles. I'm going to say it goes behind Young Frankenstein. Thank you, Gene Wilder, for making that movie great. It goes behind The Producers for me, it's just unappreciated for what it is. I'm going to say it goes behind or ahead of Spaceballs. And I think I'm going to say it goes behind History of the World. I think it's going to say, I think it's going to go 5.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
What in the wide world of sports is it going on here? Somebody's going to have to go back and get a load of dimes. Like it's full of, for power ranking Mel Brooks movies, if for no other reason, and there are plenty of other reasons, but if for no other reason, Blazing Saddles is probably quoted in my life more than any other movie, and that includes like the Anchorman series.
Howard Johnson's right.
Thank you, Howard Johnson.
James says, here comes Mongo just pawn in game of life.
That one gets broken out all the time. Lonzo and I say that probably more than any other sentence here in the studios. I'll give you another one that never gets enough credit. High anxiety. Never gets enough credit.
It's been a really long time. See, I saw that when I was a kid, and I don't think I got it.
I think you got to watch a bunch of Alfred Hitchcock movies first.
Well, which I loved, Alfred Hitchcock, but I didn't have that problem that I have when I go through the mountains. Wasn't that in that movie?
Yes,
maybe that's why I don't want to watch it.
He stars as a therapist who has a fear of heights and works as the head of the Psychoneurotic Institute for the Very, Very Nervous. Yeah, phenomenal. I think Mel Brooks movies deserve more credit in the pantheon of cinema. Like I don't remember who it was.
They don't. I mean, you know what? They don't do movies like that anymore. They don't really. I mean, they did for a little while, like the scary movies and a couple things like that. That's just the parodies, like the Naked Gun, stuff like that. Do they still do movies like that anymore?
Not really. And I think
maybe that kind of humor is gone, as far as maybe the next generation doesn't get it.
No, I think what has happened here, I think we've had a conversation similar to this before, but what the hell? It's a good one to have. Texas said, you guys really combed the desert to find this segment. Man, we ain't found. That's what that. But see, that's the thing. It's scenes like that. People give you guys remember the scene?
No, man, that's my name.
The combing the desert scene from Spaceballs. The thing about that is it's a hard scene to get right. But when you get it right, you have people screaming, man, we ain't found for history. When you get it right. But it's hard to get right. And the thing is, if you do not get it right, you're never going to hear the end of it. It becomes a part of your legacy, just like it becomes a part of your legacy if you do get it right. And I just don't think that there. Now, I can tell you for a fact, there is still a place for that kind of comedy because Shane Gillis right now is one of the biggest comedians on planet Earth, and that's exactly the type of comedy. And he delves into racial comedy and socio comedy, etc. Daniel Tosh is still doing Daniel Tosh things. Daniel Tosh on Tosh.0, which was a show I watched all the time, made jokes that I would never have the stones to try in public, but he ended up being, he was, what's that show with Rob Dyrdek that MTV runs around the damn clock all the time?
I don't remember the last time I've watched MTV. So
yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
It's basically America's Funniest Home Videos, but like new age, right? And Rob Dyrdek, who's a professional skater, became the host of it. I forget, I can't remember the name of the show. It's on all the time. But the point is that type of Mel Brooks humor still has a place. The difference is Mel Brooks knew how to actually make it hilarious. Like actually make it funny. Ridiculousness. That's it. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, James. Like Tosh.0, Shane Gillis, like there's still plenty of room. There's an online show right now called Kill Tony. And Kill Tony is there's a guy named Tony Hinchcliffe. Actually, you know who Tony Hinchcliffe is? He's the comedian who got in trouble at the Trump rally for calling Puerto Rico an island of floating trash. That guy, which in that case, even I will acknowledge that was an attempt at humor that was not given to the right audience at the right time.
Didn't they find out that the landfills were overfull of trash? And
no, you don't call Puerto Rico an island full of floating trash.
Maybe technically he was right. I don't know.
No, he's not. Puerto Rico's a beautiful place. I can't wait to go back.
I've never been there before. When's the last time you were there?
10-ish, 11 years ago.
So there might be more trash there now.
But again, this is, I think, exactly the conversation.
No, this is a politics fight.
No, it's not. Hang on. I'm literally defending the guy. Okay? I'm defending the guy. What he said at the time and place of the delivery was in poor taste. There is a time and a place to make that joke where that joke is absolutely hilarious. But that was not the time and place. When you're talking about electing the president of a country of which that country is a part of it, if I went and said, hey, Lonzo, the place you growed up is trash. Growed up.
But it is.
All right. No, that's not the best example.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I still love the people there, but it's like
That's
the
true.
poor side of Columbus.
You are responsible for Skyline Chili,
No,
which is trash.
no, Cincinnati is not Columbus.
I'm sorry, where's Cincinnati?
It's in
That's
Cincinnati.
your people. That's your people.
Okay,
That's your people.
whatever,
State full
dude.
of trash is what it is.
Whatever, and your state is
Do you
responsible for Jacksonville.
Right, but do you see what I'm doing here? Do you see how you don't use one small example and label an entire group of people trash? You see that?
I'm not
you see how it
really-
actually bothered you in real time,
I'm
even
not-
though you were defending it a second ago?
I'm not really offended. I'm just playing into what we're doing.
The
That's
point
all.
here is there is a place and a time for that, and Mel Brooks was the king, the master of understanding place and time and getting everything right. There's still a place for that. It's just a hard art to get it right that not many people have the talent to do, and Mel Brooks did. Let's see here. Yeah, the Come the Desert joke's still funny. Did you see this awkward, speaking of not funny, did you see this awkward thing between Mark Gastineau and Brett Favre?
Yeah, and my daughter lived in New Jersey for a while, and she tells me that Mark Gastineau used to come in to the DG where she worked all the time.
Really?
Yes. She's like, do you know this guy I used to play for? He talks about he was really good on defense and sacks and stuff. And I'm like, Mark Gastineau? And she's like, and I showed him pictures. He's like, yeah, that's him. So yeah, I did see it. Now, she's the first person I thought about that. It is awkward, but it's also staged.
I don't think it is.
Look at all the people around there. I mean, if you look at the video, they're all grayed
Yes,
out.
two of the most popular and well-known NFL players
Yeah.
of all time tend to have people around
So
them.
it's a lot of security.
Yeah, that's how rich people operate.
It's also a 30 for 30, and it's staged. It's a work.
All right, well, I'm going to talk about this.
Mark Gastineau is that way from what I understand, and Brett Favre is Brett Favre. But I'm saying I think the confrontation was set up.
Well, yeah, he hunted him down to go call him out to his face for sure. But the only point that I wanted to make was, of all the things to be mad about in the NFL, the Strahan sack on Favre ain't it. If you watch that clip, Brett Favre rolled there, like Gastineau's so mad. He's like, oh, you took a dive. And it's like, did he take a dive or did he turn around to find a full speed Michael Strahan's big ass about to level him in the fourth quarter of a game after they had already gotten their postseason fate determined? Was it a dive to give Strahan the record? And far be it from me to defend Brett Favre, he's a piece of trash human being.
By the way, didn't Favre say he did it on purpose?
No, what he said was,
was
maybe I didn't fight through it the way that I would have, because again, the season was over. That was the last offensive play of the regular season for the Jets that year. What he said was, I went down. Like, I didn't fight through it the way I would have if it was a regular season game with playoff spots on the line. And if he turned around off a naked boot, you turned your head and you saw Mike. And I've stood face to face with an angry Michael Strahan who threatened to whip my ass. It's terrifying. I also wanted to throw myself on the ground out of fear. My point is, like, I get it, dude, but this was so damn awkward. It was so weird.
I'm so glad as far as what happens on the field. I'm glad that the script writing has gotten better since back then, because now that sort of thing happens and it doesn't look so obvious.
Yeah,
you got better actors, and better writing,
better
and all that kind of
directors,
stuff. better stunt coordinators.
Yeah, you get it. Texter said, I will have you know Puerto Rico is the shining star of the Caribbean. I love Puerto Rico. I love Puerto Rico. It's a beautiful place, dude. Absolutely gorgeous. I can't see now. I want to go on another freaking cruise. I miss cruises. Get on a boat, no responsibility for 7 days, unlimited alcohol all day, start to finish.
See, it should make
phenomenal.
You think of Carlito.
Phenomenal. Carlito's cool. He is cool.
So cool. He took your girl.
Oh,
away.
you son of a. Back after this, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
You hit that hard, man. Don't break stuff.
Be right back, dudes. freaking eyeball.
Of course he did. You know, you gotta. I'm just a meathead, but I know how to play daggum chess. Speaking of chess, I cannot wait to teach my granddaughter how to play chess. See, that's not quite there yet. No, I have not, James. When I do watch anime, it's usually on Crunchyroll. But some of the stuff that's on Crunchyroll is also on Netflix. I'm behind on a lot of things because quite a few of the things I watch together with either my son or my wife and my son will watch things together. So you got to wait till everyone's available to watch it, and it gets you behind things. Not just that, we're behind on The Penguin. I've only seen the first 3 episodes. We're behind on Rings of Power Season 2. We're behind on a lot of things because we got to wait till everyone's together to watch it. Then there are other shows that I just watch on my own, like Invincible and some things like that. And then there's some things I could watch with Cameron, but it makes him feel uncomfortable. So I just watch them on my own. I will, James, give you a Rob Brown. I'll have to check that out. Which means I intend to, but you know, there's a list.
I don't know what those are.
I know. Well, you wouldn't be interested. It's anime. So, I mean, you're not into anime. So I do want to what the video game thing just dropped. And why did I forget the name of it on Prime that brings together all the, it's got like Warhammer and Pac-Man and all these different things, and it's animated. The Pac-Man thing was wild. It's basically an alien dude in a labyrinth, and the ghosts are like aliens. Secret Level, that's what it's called. I just looked up what's new on Prime. One of the things is A Knight's Tale, which I'll watch anytime.
A Knight's Tale.
Anytime I see
Classic.
it. Anytime I see it, I got to watch it.
Love A Knight's Tale.
Some of those movies and stuff jump from service to service, and it's a pain trying to find them. Gotta remember to watch at least one episode of Secret Level. And the new Skeleton Crew, I think, dropped last night. I think.
I need to watch that. I haven't started it yet.
It's good. It's really good. I'm surprisingly good.
Final segment of the show, final segment of the day starts now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, be a part of the show, 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. If you want to come at us in that direction, text us 71307. Start your text with Fan, F-A-N, Fan, F-A-N, and we will read them on the show. You can tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet Lonzo at Lonzo on Word. You can tweet everybody up in here by tweeting at The Fan Upstate. And, of course, you can leave a message on the Ray Memorial Hotline. The Ray Memorial Hotline, your way of communicating with the show 24/7, 365. It really is as simple as going to the Odyssey app, AUDACY, clicking on the Fan Upstate page, clicking on the Leave a Voice Note button, and then doing that.
I have another request. Please do not text or tweet or Facebook or whatever at Cole Bryson about how the Panthers are going to beat Dallas this weekend. Do not do that. That would be poor form, and it's a Christmas season.
Poor guy's going through it right now.
Yeah. So,
okay.
So don't do that, or call into Wire to Wire later on, 3 to 7 p.m.
Have a little dad burn holiday spirit.
Yes. Don't do that.
For goodness sake. Panthers favored by 2.5 at the crib, by the way. Just in case you were curious. 2.5. Which is the home field advantage line. They're basically saying the Cowboys are a half a point better than the Panthers, but still, favorite's favored, son. Favorite's favored. All right. Got a few more things to get into here on the radio broadcast. Last night, I was on BetMGM tonight. And, stop it. Not ready for you. Not ready for you. Last night was on BetMGM tonight with Brad Evans and Ryan Horvat. And they said, Rob Brown, what's your favorite matchup in the college football playoffs? And I said, easy. Angry Bama fans versus the committee. That's my favorite matchup in the college football playoffs right now. Angry Bama fan. Peter Burns is a guy I have had the pleasure of working with in the past. He is currently an anchor on the SEC network. He had this take.
The strength of schedule actually even helped the SEC right now. Right. And the reason why I'm saying that is that didn't cost Alabama getting knocked out had nothing to do with their strength of schedule. In fact, the only reason why they were in the conversation was because they had a tough strength of schedule. It was the conference losses, right? Not about Wisconsin or not about Mercer or any of those type things that cost Alabama. You lost by 21 points at home. The committee could not oversee that. They could not look at that and go, I think you're one of the best teams.
Points at home.
No, I'm not at home. To Oklahoma, rather, I should say.
On the road
but you lost by 21 points to a 6-6 team. You got game controlled by Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt. That game was not close. That's the reason why Alabama is not in. And really, the strength of schedule for Alabama and all the SEC schools was the only reason why they were in the conversation for the committee.
They got game control by Diego Pavia because Vanderbilt is hurt. That's why. That's the take. That's the take. I there are spots where I think there are arguments about the committee. There are spots. We played you the audio from Rick Neuheisel yesterday, which just basically completely validated my point that a good chunk of the reason that we are not making changes to try to make this more objective and less subjective is because subjectivity opens the door for conversation. But sometimes people just got to realize kind of where they are and what they are. Sometimes people just got to realize what you are and where you are. And where Alabama was a team that got dog walked by Oklahoma, who was a bad football team. I mean, that's just what it is. Yeah, you got dog walked by a bad football team, and you got made to pay for it. That's it. This isn't a grand conspiracy. There's nothing I love more than Bama fans claiming there's a grand conspiracy to have eliminated them. There's not. You just got your ass handed to you by a bad Oklahoma team. And the best Vanderbilt team of all time, sure, but a barely bowl-eligible Vanderbilt team. Of course you didn't get in.
It does bother you, I'm sure, if you're an Alabama fan, seeing how happy everyone else is that your team didn't get in.
Yeah. That's it.
Poor guys.
That's it. I think that when it comes down to it, you got dog walked by a couple of bad teams. I mean, you had a fine loss, but it is. Here is Nicole Auerbach weighing in on the teams with 3 losses complaining about not making. That includes you, South Carolina fans.
The things that the Alabama contingent are saying do not align with what happened this season because of who Alabama lost to. They lost to 500 teams in the SEC. They actually played well against the good teams on their schedule, but they're arguing that like the full schedule is so challenging. The sequencing is so challenging. Again, other people did not lose the way that they lost 2 teams that were 500 and then still make the playoff. Like these losses, you don't get to explain them away. You don't get mulligans, an unlimited amount of mulligans. When you have 3 losses, it's fair to dive into them and hold them against you. And they got credit for the high end play. The committee said, like, you have 3 top 25 wins. The committee determines the top 25. They made sure that Alabama was getting the credit for the wins that they had. But if you want to be mad at the league for the way it's scheduled, like Kirby was, or which also didn't make a lot of sense because they only played 4 games out of the state of Georgia. So I don't, everyone's figuring out things to be mad about this weekend, but Alabama, like be mad that Texas had the SEC schedule that they did and they never got dinged for anything. They didn't have a top 25 win at the end of the day on Sunday, and they got the highest at-large seed. So that's the stuff to be mad about instead of like all of this just projecting about strength of schedule and like, oh, we're never going to play anybody good. When you didn't even play you played 1 Power 4 team this year and you won that game.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. That has been the one gripe that I've really hung on was, and even Nick Saban fell victim to it when he was like, oh, now Greg Byrne and the athletic department, they're going to look at how we schedule differently. Bro, you played Western Kentucky, South Florida, Mercer, and I don't even remember who the other one was. Like, what do you want to do? Well, everything else was SEC play. And here's the fun part, and I think this is the part that I've leaned on quite a bit with a lot of these conversations. I look at you and I go, you get the benefits from playing in the SEC. You have more money than everybody else. You get more publicity than everybody else. You have not just your own SEC network, but you have ESPN that constantly tells everybody how amazing you are. You get all these benefits. The trade-off for that is, the football's harder. It's a better conference. It's a deeper conference than everybody else. I did have to chuckle when Kirby Smart was accepting the trophy for winning the Southeastern Conference Championship of 2024. I had a little chuckle because they said, hey, Kirby, what's the benefit of winning this game? And he goes, and he called out Greg Sankey. Greg Sankey was like 3 feet away. He's like, well, we get to go take a rest. He said, oh, Greg Sankey sent this team on the road over and over and over and over. And you heard Nicole point out there, they played 4 games outside of the state of Georgia. They were at Kentucky, they were at Alabama, they were at Texas, and they were at Ole Miss. They played Clemson in Atlanta, Tennessee Tech at home, Auburn at home, Mississippi State at home, Florida in Jacksonville. That was the other one. They played Tennessee at home, Massachusetts at home, Georgia Tech at home, and then the Texas game for the SEC championship was also in Atlanta. So, like, a lot of these complaints that people are leaning on about what went wrong, I don't think they were. If you lost 3 games, and this is the big problem South Carolina had too, you lost 3 games, we're going to evaluate what those losses were, who they were to, where they were, and how you lost the games. If all 3 of those games were lost by a single point, I think South Carolina probably would have jumped Ole Miss in Alabama. But you got hammered, and you have to pay for that. This is weird. I'm defending the committee. I feel gross. I don't like it. I don't like it. Not one bit.
Sorry, you can wash that off later. All right, the first thing that's Xing today is Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. Megan was a Fox for a very long time there. I mean, she's still, let's call it a buck. She's still a very attractive lady. I don't know why she's trending.
She is now single.
Her and old MJK hit the splits, right?
According to rumors, it may be because he is linked to Diddy parties. That's the rumors.
That'll do it.
But if you look up why she's trending, you just see a lot of people happy because they think they got a shot.
Back in the game, baby.
Yes.
Back in the Some of you young fellers out there, I'm going to need you to go ahead and watch the OG Transformers. Just watch the OG Transformers, and then you'll want to holler at Megan Fox too.
Yeah,
all right?
you will.
That's just
And
a fact.
She still looks kind of like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
She got weird thumbs, though.
Who cares?
Not me.
All right. The next thing is is Bill Belichick.
Hoodie trending because there was a report that came out either late last night or early this morning. I don't know. That the contract with UNC is all but signed at this point. Hoodie confirmed earlier this week that he was indeed in conversations with the University of North Carolina to take over their head coaching job. There was a rumor from a reporter in Chapel Hill last night that deal was just about done and that Hoodie can be expected in the next week or two. Here's the thing. Transfer portal is open. You got to get your coach working now.
Absolutely. And from the way he was talking, he can jump right in and go because he's got this all planned out. All right. The next thing that's Xing is Kadarius Toney.
No, I just let you tell us, Lonzo. You're a big Kadarius Toney fan.
Kadarius Toney was just cut by the Browns.
Yeah, because he stinks.
He's not good. He's not. Hey, but he had some good catches during his run with the Kansas City Chiefs. But so does everybody who's on the Kansas City Chiefs team.
It's also fair.
All right, the next thing that's Xing is corn.
With a K or with a C?
C.
With a C. Corn is Xing because I have no idea.
Yeah, neither do I. But corn, I just there's all these things about, how effective going on a corn diet, which I just think would make you die. But that's just me because the results of corn, because corn doesn't really digest. Maybe it fools your stomach into thinking that you ate something and it doesn't digest. But the after effects of too much corn is not a good thing.
So when you're dropping LBs, one of the things that you try to do is you find foods that have high density and are full of fiber and protein because they make you feel fuller than you actually are. Corn, as many of you know, and many of you are preparing your jokes as we speak, doesn't digest, which is why there's so many jokes about, the morning afters of eating a big old helping of corn. I bet that's correct. I also bet there's a 0% chance I would exclusively eat corn because could you imagine the morning movement if you ate nothing but corn?
Yeah, it's a morning movement. It'd be moving all the time. All right, the next thing is Xing is Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel's Xing because if Ryan Day loses to Tennessee, Mike Vrabel's taking his job.
Not this time. This time he's Xing because Chicago.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer
had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. We can just use this as our outro music. All right.
Right, which is why I'm telling you to finish it up. Let's go.
I was trying to hang out so we can make it to the end. You have a great rest of your day. Don't drink and drive. I will punch you square in the face. Have a lovely rest of your day. We're back tomorrow to do it all over again, but better. We got Fight Club with the Great One. We got Hayden S. Mario. We got Lulu Kessin, and maybe, if we're lucky, more AI Creed songs. Have a great day. See you tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later. Oh, what art that is. Alone I am, like the world to change. As soon as you said that, Steph sent me an email with the lives in it.
Yeah, see, I made me think that you actually said something to her.
Nope,
so
sure didn't.
Okay, well, he said something.
She's just
cool.
on the ball. All right, kids, thanks for being here. You're all amazing people. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich and famous. Have a lovely rest of your Wednesday. Enjoy whatever is on TV tonight. Oh, NBA Cup. 2 NBA Cup quarterfinal games tonight.
Well, you might actually watch AEW. I mean, you could do that.
I mean, I got the NBA Cup to watch. Oh, that's it for us. Goodbye.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Skeleton Crew. That's what I'm watching.